Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast, episode 256. We're a little late because we're trying to get Sean in here, and he's having some technical issues, so he restarted his PC. Yep. He'll probably pop in randomly at some point.
How do I get these dual katanas, bro?
Just find another katana, dual wield.
Let's go around here, starting with MVG. How we doing, MVG?
Hey, I'm doing great. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have MVG on here. On top of the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, looks like things turn around over there with that. Yep. So
it's getting better. It's getting better.
We have returning to the podcast, Nate the Hate.
Yes.
Nate is back.
For this week, I am.
Yes. For this week. Okay, he's back. All right, good. Good to have Nate here. Then we have Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb joining us tonight. Has some stuff I'm sure to go over with the Steam Deck, but of course I know you're playing Elden Ring as well. So I said let's bring Jeff in so we can go over all.
Come hang out. There's some news to talk about this week. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. We got Dreamcast guy Max. How we doing over there?
Addicted to Elden Ring like everybody else.
Good. We got OJ Player Essence.
Doing good. Playing some Elden Ring. Yeah. So we'll talk about it.
We got Sean. Sean is here. Look at that. Right on time. It was coming up on your introduction. You popped right in. Exactly.
I don't know what the hell was going on, but yes, I'm here.
What is just Discord just didn't want to work?
Yeah, Discord wasn't working and then it wasn't connecting. So I don't know, I just rebooted and we're good.
Okay, good.
Just get good, yeah.
just get good.
Shout outs to everybody that came through on the pre-show too. Pre-show was lit. It was a lot of fun. So shout outs to everybody because a lot of people were coming over from the before the show to hang out. So thank you once
again,
John.
Yeah, OJ runs the Spawncast pre-show. So if you're just kind of hanging out, waiting, go over there. OJ's got you covered. Yeah. Talk about some of the gaming stuff and all that, some of the news going on from the week. Get ready for the show. Very cool. Yeah. Let's see. Tonight we got Elden Ring to talk about. Of course, that kind of blew up online. I want to talk about the game itself and also some of the reviews and the scores and stuff that it has, because this is obviously going to be something in the Game of the Year conversation at the end of this year. It's going to be very interesting depending on what else comes out this year as well. Capcom unveiled Street Fighter 6, and the logo may have been more stock than we expected. The Steam Deck.
People flipped out about that logo, man.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that logo. And then obviously just the characters too and all that. Then I got the Steam Deck, which Jeff actually has a Steam Deck.
Yeah, got it right here.
Awesome.
That's huge.
Awesome. Killer.
Are you sure that's not a Game Gear?
I know. I thought
it's the Sega Neptune, I think is what it is.
And then we did have Nintendo actually make an acquisition, a small acquisition, but still made one. And then I figured we'd bring up Platinum Games once again because why not?
Who?
Well, I know somebody's been playing Babylon's Fall, so
I need to play that this weekend.
Boy, all right.
It's kind of crusty. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. Okay,
nice,
so
nice.
let's start with that Discord question, Evan. We can do that.
With physical gaming kind of coming to an end and digital becoming more of a primary, do you think games won't get leaked as easily because it would have to come from their servers?
I mean, it'd be much more controlled then, I assume. Although, yeah, I guess.
I think games will always get leaked.
Yeah, I mean,
one way or the other, there'll be leaks.
But I gotta admit, a lot of the stuff leaks because it breaks street date.
Yeah.
And if there's no street date to break because the games aren't in stores, I assume they just wouldn't, like the whole game itself wouldn't leak out then.
It'd be an internal
maybe.
It would have to be somebody from the company leaked it.
Yeah.
If it goes all digital, then it'd be, or somebody hacked it.
Yeah, like we got a lot of those Resident Evil leaks ahead of Village, and a lot of that was because Capcom's servers got hacked and all of this. So that's the only way I could really see it happening. Otherwise, you're not going to see a Switch game get out there then, and that get passed around as easily as it does if it's all digital.
It happens occasionally. Remember when people found the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo before it was announced? They found it on the servers and they managed to unlock it. But yeah, it'd have to be very unique situations.
Yeah. You got another Discord question, Evan?
I guess we can quick fire this one. Cool. 3 different generations. Which console was more influential? N64, PS1.
I'm gonna say PS1 because the CDs and everything that took off from there.
Everyone cool with that? All right.
Final Fantasy VII was one of those cultural moments. I mean, Yeah, I agree.
I hate the N64, but I don't hate it. But I might say N64.
Hey,
because
whoa.
I'm just saying because of 3D gaming. I mean, look, we look at some of the stuff, 3D gaming, the analog stick, right? And if you look at the innovations that we had before from the Super Nintendo, going there with the shoulder buttons, the modern look of a controller. Then on top of that, you have like even still to this day, Z targeting is like used in every single 3D action game.
64 is still actually the most influential 3D game.
Yeah, but we had the dual analog sticks with the PS1.
Eventually, yeah.
Not at the beginning though.
No, not the beginning, but eventually, like throughout its life, we got that dual analog stick.
They saw what the N64 did, and then said, "Okay, well, we got to incorporate this."
That's true. That's true.
They're both very influential. They're both extremely influential.
Yes. And then from the PS2, Xbox, GameCube generation, which one's the most influential?
Xbox.
Yeah, it'd be Xbox. Yeah, I'd say Xbox. Yeah.
Everything the Xbox does is make
online
everything
hard
that companies
drive
do now is all based on the Xbox.
Yeah, internal storage, Ethernet ports, multiplayer focused games, always online.
They had like DLC stuff. Well, they did like transactions through the online as well at one point.
Xbox Live Arcade, built-in Ethernet port, hard drive. So many things. Online infrastructure, everything in terms of modern systems was copied from almost everything was Xbox.
And then finish off with the Wii 360 or PS3.
Influential
360. It's that much even more. Like every system today is a 360.
That's true. The Xbox 360.
Yes.
Yeah.
360 now.
Because Xbox Live really exploded and made massive
the Steam Deck is like if they made a portable Xbox 360, honestly, in terms of like the way it presents its games and stuff, and the way it like has its friend list set up front and center.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything's a 360.
Yeah. Okay. I'd go with that. Yeah. Very good. All right. Let's start with Elden Ring. Yeah. Game came out Friday, but reviews went up midway through the week. What was that? Embargo lifted on Wednesday?
Wednesday morning, yeah.
Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And I don't know when reviewers got this game.
About a week ago. Week before that.
A week before. That's brutal. Man, that's tough.
Yeah, I was very happy to spend our freelancing budget to freelance that review. While I just leisurely played it on the Steam Deck for about 20 hours before that review embargo.
That sounds like hell. That sounds like it's 60 hours trying to play that game before review. Or like that fast?
I picked a guy who I knew is completely obsessed with these games and was happy to spend that much time on it. If it was anyone else, I would have been like, please take your time.
Good. I'm actually glad you brought that up, Jeff. Awesome.
Yes,
good.
And I think we should probably start there because I have opinions on this as someone who's reviewed a lot of games. But why don't you set it up?
I want to bring up the Metacritic real quick. I believe it's still sitting at 97. It hasn't gone up or down yet. So it's sitting at 97. That's on 49 critic reviews, and the reviews have gone up. Like we've gotten more and more reviews coming in, and it's still sitting strong at that 97 currently. I mean, a ton of perfect scores and all this. And the first question is, do we think 97 is too high for Elden Ring? And second question is the overall people who reviewed this game, everyone, like for the most part, all of them that I read, they're all Souls fans. And I think a lot of that has to do with it coming in, as you said, Jeff, a week to when like embargo happened, and everyone, I'm sure in the offices or any place, looked around and said, okay, who is the Souls fan here? Who can do
whenever
this?
Whenever we have someone who isn't a fan of a series review a series, like even if it's like Forza Horizon 5, it's a very, very broad game. It's on Game Pass. 20 million people are going to play it. Mike Minotti reviewed that game. He gave it a 4 out of 5. He's like, I typically don't like racing games. This one's a very good one. This is a good score from our site. And he got roasted. People are like, you don't like racing games. Why did you review a racing game? He's well, I mean, I don't hate them, but it's just not my favorite genre. And I'm like, I'm just going to review it from my perspective. But people are in this meta headspace where like they're being scorekeepers. And so when we get a game like this, Elden Ring, so anticipated, so many people looking forward to it. Like I said, I was happy to pawn this off on a big Souls fan. And
I feel like
you think there'll be at least one person out there who's like reviewing it, who's like, I'm not a fan of these games. I'm going to give it a shot. Here's my perspective, but it's intimidating.
It's a challenge because it's like you basically have to blast through Elden Ring with. I mean, I'm sure that they may have given them like a reviewer's guide, kind of. I assume for a game like that.
We had basically a strategy guide, like a full-fledged strategy guide for the first 2 major areas. It was very helpful. But it's more than I've ever seen for any other game. I think they understand that their game is very esoteric. So I was happy. Like I learned strategies in there and went and used them, and it was very helpful. I don't know how much our reviewer used them. He's like, again, he like already knows a lot of these games, so he was fine. But
because I do wonder how many people beat this game for the review, because I feel like because that came up as well. I feel like the majority of people didn't beat this game to review it because they just would have run out of time.
I think that's what, and a lot of reviewers said that. And I think this is my my quick hot take on this. People overblow finishing a game when you are reviewing a game that is primarily about its gameplay. If it's Mass Effect 3 and it's about ending a story, you should finish the story. I feel that way for something like that. But if you are reviewing something that's primarily about like presenting a world, presenting this gameplay, interactions between the systems and stuff like that, if you spend 60 hours in it, I actually don't really care if you finish a game. Tell me what you think. I bet you have a pretty good insight into whether or not this game is good or not.
Well, so, and I beat a lot of games. I review a lot of games. I beat a game start to finish today that comes out in March. And I always think the interesting thing is, especially with something like this, there are multiple endings. It's always the thing of like what counts as beat at this point.
Yes.
Because for something like Elden Ring, there are technically like 65 hidden dungeons. There's tons of seeds. There's quests with no quest log. There are hidden endings for certain things you do. There's multiple new game pluses. So it's like, it's one of those things where I feel like if you kill the bosses, you're good. But it's always interesting that a game like this, it doesn't really fit into the typical you finished it, walk away formula.
Right.
I mean, if it's narrative driven, like Jeff's saying, and there's an obvious path of like, look, there's side quests, but here's like the main like quest from start to finish for our character arc. You got to finish that to be like, okay, the ending was terrible or was good, right. And like,
and be honest. Like, be honest with the people reading the reviews. Say what you did. Say whether or not you played it. Tell them how many hours you played. And if they decide that review isn't helpful to them, there are 50 other reviews. We said there's 49 other reviews. You can
49 reviews totally.
Like, you're not hurting for trying to get an opinion on this game. And I think like, if someone were to like beat the story and only the story in Skyrim, that review would have been useless to me. I would have read that review and been like, sure, that's not how I play those games at all. I've played hundreds of hours of Skyrim. I've never beaten the game. I never critical path it.
You just wander off in one direction in Skyrim.
Exactly. Man. That's how I experience it. So I need someone who plays it in that way, and finishing the game in that context is completely meaningless to me as someone reading a review. It's so different than watching a movie or something like that. But again, if that matters to you, go find the review that is going to answer your questions there. I think that's perfectly fine. Criticize reviewers. I'm okay with that.
Were people comparing it to movies?
Yes, a lot.
Some people are just like, a lot. Yeah, people do that. People,
Don't do that, guys. Well, movies and games, no, we can't do that.
There are also a lot of people are treating it like a season of a television show. Like, you can't watch 5 episodes and say how good the season is. It's like, this is a little bit different. Like, Souls games are very esoteric in general.
Even, you can if you want to. If a show doesn't draw you within the first, however many episodes, people are allowed to review things the way that it is. But I get it. But I agree with what
So
what Jeff
I'm
said.
looking at Metacritic. A 97 puts Elden Ring as like basically one of the best games of all time. Now it's technically they have it at 12. I don't really know how this works because it's just a bunch of 97s. Like, it's 97 runs from like number 24, which by the way is NFL 2K1. Huh. And it runs all the way up to like, what is this number?
Something about NFL 2K. That
number
game
6.
That game is freaking incredible. At the time that it came out, it was insane.
Go, Sean.
Well, you don't like NFL 2K?
No, I love it. I'm saying if you look at just about every game that's within the mix, every single one of those games did something big. It did something different. It brought something new to the table, and take that as you will.
No, let me expand on that a little bit. Hold up. I know where he's going.
I'm about to eat Sean's Taco Bell.
Yes, here we go. Because Sean doesn't want to take the heat because he already made a video on it. So I saw Sean's video, and I know you guys really like. I know some of you guys really like Elden Ring, and I'm kind of like in between. And I think I kind of believe what Sean's saying. I think this game is like a 9. I think that it's very good, but all the games that are 97, and I said this in my video that I made, did something that was genre defining. This is genre defining, I guess, within the Souls. If you want to put it in a vacuum and say Souls games, sure, 97. But overall, like open world games, I don't see it.
Well,
I don't see it. I don't see the 97.
What did Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 do?
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3?
A triple kick on 100.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 got a 97. What did it do?
I thought that was Tony Hawk 2.
Revert.
No, I'm looking at it right now. Tony Hawk Pro Skater
3 got
97.
it's
actually
it's very good.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is a good example. Actually, no, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is a good example because when they went back to remake Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the control system they use is basically exactly what was in 3. 3 defined that game series going forward. But I'll say that I generally agree with the idea that this game wasn't doing anything new when I was in the first 10 to 15 hours, and then as I
Elden Ring has a crouch button.
And it has a jump button too, so that's new.
And
when I went out and explored the world though, and I kept seeing how it just kept changing, and there was more out there. This delivers on the promise of the fantasy genre better than any other game ever has. I think that this is like you are going to explore the map that gets described in a George R.R. Martin book, and you're going to keep going, and there's going to be another land like it's just ripped from those pages. And other games have attempted to do this, but have always been held back. It felt like this one is the first one I feel like that truly delivers on that. And if that's not for you, or if that's not enough, I think that's totally fine.
It's an interesting open world. I will give it that. Like a lot of the sections just look completely different from each other.
And
like,
that's
consistently.
Yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I did a big review that kind of blew up, and thanks to everybody who watched it. But to me, the moment when I knew I was going to give it a 10 out of 10, about 25 hours into the game, at one point, I was going through the woods, and this gigantic bear showed up, and it started to corner me, and I went into a random area, and it had an elevator, and I took it under, just got on it. The elevator goes down for like a solid minute, and I found this giant underground city.
Fogwoods, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't fast travel to it. Like once you go down there, it's almost like a pocket dimension, and it's gorgeous. It has like stars underground, the most beautiful thing. And you go down there and explore it, and then come back up, and it's not connected. Like it's so glorious. It's like I like it. I'm glad that George R.R. Martin wrote this because it has that George R.R. Martin magic where it's like it's not explained. It doesn't make sense. Why is this guy a giant? Why is this bear eating horses? I love it. I love it.
It probably would have felt different if you ended up in the ant's nest that I did earlier today. That was there's another one, yeah. And
I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that people just find in this game for years.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree with people that give it that score. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying like, oh, Max, your review sucks. I watched your review. I thought it was great. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to disagree with that. I just personally don't see it as a, you know, as that. But like I said, maybe I'll get more into it. You know, I think I'm 11 hours plus. So I've been exploring and I've been finding different things, and it's cool. Like I like it. I just don't know if I like it like 97 like it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if it's there for me, but I can see why it's there for a lot of people. And there really isn't like a game like out of Souls games.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it's a 97. Like hell, it's 100.
If you're a Souls fan,
absolutely.
This is probably the greatest game you've ever played. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't have a problem necessarily with that. I just, when it comes to other open world games, I mean, there's still like the physics in the game. It doesn't innovate anywhere there. Like if you look at some of the other stuff, like when it comes to the environment, it doesn't really innovate. Like, you go to different places and that's cool, but that doesn't affect your actual person. Like when it comes to like open world. So there's some things that I would say as an open world game doesn't necessarily do it for me, but as a Souls game, absolutely. Like it's the best Souls game that I've played. I've played pretty much all of them. Best one that I've played. So I'll give it that for that. But as open world, I don't know about just open world and just overall. That's why I think that's where the disconnect is. People play other types of open world games. They're like, well, what the hell? Like that doesn't do this, and this. And then you play a Souls game, but if you play that, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It does all of this, you know? So
well, I think I look at the 97s, and a lot of them just take concepts from games before them, refine them, and put them together really well. That's kind of the way I'm looking at a lot of these. Like even like Breath of the Wild, a lot of the concepts from that game came from other games, which is fine because they put it together in a high quality package. Perfect Dark, I mean, that was from like GoldenEye, where they took a lot of those concepts and just exploded it.
And that's the thing is, to me, how we were also personally talking about self-selection earlier, that the people who reviewed this are people that love this series. So much of this game feels like Dark Souls 4, 5, and 6 all in one game. It feels like all the dungeons, all the crazy castles, all the big bosses with 5 different phases. It's all wrapped into one. So I feel like if you're not into it, you're probably not going to be into it. But as somebody that's already a fan, I legitimately think this might be the best game ever made. And I'm dead serious about that.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think people are hoping that this is like their big thing for a Souls. Like this is it. This is gonna give me no. If you're in a Souls series, I don't think. Like maybe if you're on the edge and you're like, maybe I'll get. Yeah. This might do it for you. But if you were like if you're Sean, an hour of Demon Souls, and he's like, nah, you're probably not going to like this game.
If you're a big open world game fan and you're willing to learn, I think that's where maybe you don't like other Souls games.
Exactly.
But if you love open world games, this game might pull you into it.
For
you know,
that,
it might pull you. Yeah, if you're just huge on open world games, though.
I think it's good. It's good for that because it gets people around some of the mental humps of a Dark Souls game where you are you're presented with something and you feel like you have to get through it and there's no other option to go around it. In this game, you can turn the other way and do some other stuff. And so there's like this release valve of the tension where you're like, you can go explore and do other things in this game and then come back. Maybe you're leveled up and now, or maybe you've like improved because you've spent so much time in this world. And now the thing that was in your way is trivial. That's happened to me a couple times.
There's a sense of discovery in the game. Like you were mentioning that too, MVG. You're just kind of just going out, finding stuff, and you're like, I can't stop playing this game.
Yeah, kind of like what Max said. You just kind of stumble across something, you know, and it just makes you really just appreciate what the game is trying to do. I think I'm in the camp that I think it's one of the best games ever made. I think it's probably the best game since Breath of the Wild, to be totally honest with you. You know, it is incredible. There are some issues with the game, which I'm sure will get fixed, performance issues and stuff like that. But, you know, I think overall it deserves its 97, and it's probably going to be right in the mix with Game of the Year this year. No question.
That's one of the big reasons I wouldn't have given a 97 is because I even talked to you, Evan. I'm like, why can't FromSoft just release a smooth running game? Like it blows my every single time I feel like this comes up. Dark Souls came up on the PC. Repertoire. That was a big issue. People had to fix that game, and then Bandai came in, fixed it, and tried to sell it again. And it's every time it's like these games are supposed to be based around reaction timing, right? It's like, okay, I gotta dodge this time, I gotta block. But then like the frame rate is kind of choppy and it's
get good, Scrub. Stop playing it on PS5 and play it on PS4 through your PS5 or play it on Xbox Series. Set your TV to 60 gigahertz if you have a VRR TV. Set it to that and deal with it. Stop being a fraud.
You know what it is too?
Delivery coming through.
It's RAM and CPU. It's things that most people don't prioritize in their gaming rigs. It's things that aren't solved with more power on the new gen consoles.
I kind of feel like there's something with the anti-cheaters. They're doing something that makes it like
it runs great on the Steam Deck. Now it is actually the least optimized game I played on the Steam Deck, but it still runs at like 45 to 50 frames per second on like medium settings. It is definitely like, and putting it to low doesn't help. It is just about that RAM usage. It's about the CPU.
That jitteriness though,
gigabytes for minimum requirements for RAM is super high for any game. They're just not good enough.
I have to agree with Sean only because I mean I beat down Pokemon Legends Arceus like crazy for its visuals. This isn't this isn't up there. In terms of visuals,
graphically, no. Aesthetically, yes. So aesthetically, it's one of the best looking games
for art
ever.
Direction, style, all that. Yes, like obviously, you see the boss characters, you're like, all right, that's pretty cool. But then I'll be walking and like 10 feet in front of me, the grass will pop in, and I'm like, this. I remember this. This was Legends Arceus a couple weeks ago. So like,
homage.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like, it's one thing with Arceus, and I'm like, I mean, Game Freak's trying. Like I'll look at FromSoft and I'm like, this should probably be better. So that's something else that showed up for me. I'm like, the concept, I get it.
I was completely fine with it. I was like, oh, no problem. I was playing Arceus while it was installing. So I was like, okay, I just went from pretty bad to a little bit better.
That's I mean at that there's the even with the like the performance attached to it too. I'm like, I don't know. It seems strange that FromSoft still struggles after.
Can we speak on that a little bit though? Because like the fact that it's the PS, because I bought the PS4 version because I really wanted to play it on PS4, just because they're Digital Foundry. I was like, let me check it out on PS4, and it's better. It really is better. It doesn't look quite as good, but it really is. I thought they were capping. Like I just I don't always believe everything that people just say, and I thought they were capping with it just because they were, but they weren't. It's actually smoother. If you're playing it on your PS or PS5 with the PS4 copy of the game.
It probably started development on PlayStation 4, which is why
it's definitely delayed so many times.
Absolutely,
because the last gen console.
Didn't they mention
they were trying to get it figured out? It was
they mentioned that like the next gen or the next gen current gen patch now wasn't gonna be ready anyway. So like there should be a patch down the road for the PS5 and the Series X at some point. I thought they had mentioned that in a press release a while ago.
I think they talked
I
about
thought that,
that.
but then I looked at it. It seems they claim this is Xbox Series X optimized.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I don't know.
I know the PS, well, particularly the PS4 Pro version of the game, because it's basically forcing that version on. So the base PS4 version, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the PS4, playing it on PS4 Pro, essentially.
I want to say though, despite all of that, the game is still very good. Like it has that pull MVG. I see it. I recognize it. I'm like, I want to keep playing this game. I beat the first boss. It gives you that dopamine high of like, yes, I'm awesome. Then you walk up to the next boss and he just slaps you back down. And you're like, all right, I'll be back. and then you just kind of wander back around. But the fact that Evan is talking about an area that I have no idea what he's saying, right? I'm like, where is that? I'll randomly just be walking through a swamp and a dragon comes crashing through it and like killing me. And I'm like,
that's still early game. I found
incredible.
A field of giant stone turtles walking around. The thing was crazy.
I saw that too. And I went up and I started hitting the turtle's leg because it had skulls on the side.
You found one of them.
And it dropped down and killed me. I was like, this is amazing.
You haven't found the ones that jump up in the air yet.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. That sounds cool. I don't know any of that stuff.
I'm in a tower of ghosts right now, and they're whipping my ass. I love this game.
Is it the ghosts or is it the arcane stuff? Because I think I was there earlier.
I think the part where I was like, all right, this is pretty crazy is you get teleported away through these chests, right? Like you might find a chest and it's like, oh, it's a trap. It's supposed to teleport you away to a harder area. It teleports you away, and then you look at the map and you're like, oh, it didn't show me the entirety of this thing. It just illuminated another like big chunk of the map off to the side. And I'm like, what? Oh, okay. So how big is the game exactly in terms of its like land size and area? Because I keep seeing people on Twitter mention I'm 50 hours in and there's a whole other part of the map I had no idea.
I think I'm at the northernmost shore.
Yeah, it's
it's the biggest game ever, I would say, other than an MMO. So if anybody ever wants spoilers, if you ever just Google Elden Ring full map, it's so insane. You have to zoom in to a crazy degree to see any actual singular landmark. It's like sprawling castles, double poison swamp. Just it goes on and on and on and on in every single direction.
You think it's the combat itself, Sean, that you don't like, that you don't click with? Because there is the way that the Souls games, and I've realized this work, there is like a built-in purposeful delay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
With all the
somehow
moves.
It's not an action game. It's not an action game.
And
yes.
I
What
know
is it?
It's technically, I mean, it's more, how we have action RPGs. It's more RPG than action.
But there's no real deep detailed story. Like it's all you have to discover the lore and stuff.
I mean, there is
not what we mean by RPG.
There's quite a bit of lore in the game. You just have to seek it out. And then there are people who get really serious, where like transcribe all the stuff, and yeah, I mean, the game itself throws you into it, which is interesting because I remember a certain person screaming at their TV because the person in Horizon Forbidden West won't stop talking.
It still does talk way too much. I've been skipping so much shit.
And then here's a game that's like, you know what?
Well, I thought I was going to like it, but then I realized the combat is exactly like all the other Souls games I played, and it has that delay in it, and it's not really an action game.
Delay, right?
It's more of an adventure RPG, but light on the RPG elements. So I don't know. It's fine. If people like it, that's cool. I don't like it. Nothing is going to make me like the game. I tend to do this with every From Software game. I have varying degrees of like.
Sean, you're having a tough time right now, man. Horizon Forbidden West has you.
Oh no, I've been playing Horizon all day. I've been doing some amazing shit in that game. I like to go into areas of Horizon where it's like you're under leveled, and I'm like, fuck you. And like I came across like this massive turtle thing, and it was like some side mission, and I was with this chick, and slight spoilers. But nothing too crazy, because I've skipped all the story stuff. But like we were trying to take down this turtle
her
thing.
Name's Aloy.
No, the other person I was with. I don't remember her name. And like the turtle, like he was just working over the NPC that was with me. So I was like, all right. So I just kept creeping around at like this little rock thing, and like he would chase me around the rock, but he would go underground and pop up. He went underground and he popped up. I did a back roll. I saw some like little fire canisters, and I shot him, and they hit him like at the exact perfect time. I actually saved it on my PlayStation 5. I might upload it on the channel. They hit him at the perfect time, but he still had like a ton of life left when we were doing that, and then he died, and I was like, what? And like I started shooting arrows at him. I was like, oh wait, this motherfucker's dead. I killed this dude already. How did I do that? And it was because of that. So yeah, I'm having a lot more fun with that game.
Okay, very good.
But yeah, I mean, the story is in Horizon has way too much story. It's I don't need to know every fucking nook and cranny of every single person that lives. Even like the little side missions, it's like there's someone stuck in a cave or something. You got to go save them. There's like 10 minutes of dialogue, and it's like, holy fuck! I understand. I understand. There's someone in the cave. I'll go get them. You don't need to tell me every little nook and cranny, how old this person is, what their favorite food is, what their shoe size is. Like, fuck, man.
I got a friend that calls games talkie games or Dewey games, and he says Horizon's a talkie game, and Elden Ring's a Dewey game.
Dewey
so
game.
Like, yeah, I prefer Dewey games too.
The Dewey game.
I had this time where I stopped and there was a random little like 5 people in the middle of the desert around a campfire, and I stopped because one of them had a quest, and they ended up explaining there was a guy here named Jacob, and Jacob got in a fight with Samantha, and now we don't know where Jacob's at. This whole thing, I was like, just tell me to find Jacob. Just say find Jacob. That's it.
So early, I guess early prediction since it's February now. I mean, it's Elden Ring. Is it going to take Game of the Year at this point? Because how often do we see? We only see a 97 every once in a while. And I gotta be honest, looking at the list of games currently, I think the only game coming up is Breath of the Wild 2 that has a shot.
And I don't think so, because it's going to have the same thing as Horizon and probably God of War.
That's what I'm concerned about.
It's going to be like, oh, this is awesome. More of the same, and that's great. Like, no one's complaining, but it's not the kind of thing that gets rewarded for Game of the Year.
That's what Horizon got hit with, yeah.
Yeah, Horizon absolutely is going to have that. It's not going to be Game of the Year because of that. So
Breath of the Wild 2 is going to do something crazy to.
Oh, go ahead, MVG.
I was going to say there's also a precedent. I mean, Sekiro won a couple of years ago, if you recall, right?
Yes.
That was a fraudulent win, but yeah.
What is
the fans of From are well represented in the voting block.
The review, Death Stranding should have won Game of the Year. We all know Death Stranding should have won Game of the Year. It was nominated a billion times for everything. It won more awards, and then it lost Game of the Year.
Very big push to get Death Stranding nominated too.
It got best
a huge
movie.
Push to get it nominated.
It got nominated by everybody. Nominated Death Stranding, right? We're talking about the Game Awards. Everybody nominated Death Stranding. It was nominated. It had the most nominations ever. More than God of War, more than Breath of the Wild, more than everything, and then it loses Game of the Year. That's bullshit. Sorry, that's bullshit.
Again, Sony was active in trying to make that happen, though. That was like a big push by them. Like that was a concerted effort.
For Sony to do what?
So they like in the emails when they're getting a code, like, hey, do you need as many codes? Like, hey, look, Game of the Word stuff is happening soon, so keep that in mind.
Oh yeah.
So everyone on the staff needs a code. Let us know.
Okay,
we'll
so
get in
you're
there.
saying that it's fraudulent.
Like, consider it for these things. They're doing what happens in Hollywood, and I think they were just ahead of the curve. Eventually, everyone's going to do that.
You're saying it's fraudulent, Jeff Grubb. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Well, for Death Stranding, yeah.
So there you go. It was fraudulent. It was that whole voting, everything was fraudulent.
Right.
Because people being manipulated in certain ways. You can't take Sekiro won Game of the Year, so it didn't look fraudulent on that end. You can't nominate. I'm sorry, that makes no sense to me to nominate for it to get that many nominations and then for it to lose to a game that was nominated, I think 3 or 4 times for Sekiro. It loses a game nominated like 15 times. Control was nominated more.
Here's the thing.
Then Sekiro's better.
Sekiro is definitely the better game.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but I understand that. I understand that Sekiro's the better game. What I'm saying is that why did it not get nominated that way?
All right, so
Fraudulent. Sorry.
I'm looking at the list of games. Unless God of War does something crazy or Breath of the Wild 2, I don't know. We don't see 97s very often.
We don't know about Starfield, but I just really doubt Starfield.
I feel like Starfield's going to come out and be broken immediately. That's just my
it'll
belief.
Get punished for being broken because of Fallout 76. Like, we are ready to hold them accountable after Fallout 76 in the way that, like, with From does get a pass a little bit for their tech and stuff.
Yeah,
so
as long as the grass is visible 5 feet ahead of you, you're okay. So Starfield just doesn't. No, that's my problem. Is we just led to believe that game is going to have some bugs. Sure, that might be hilarious, but like, we just assume it's going to be broken when it comes out and they have to spend some time fixing it. But
also, Elden Ring's going to, it's so huge. It's going to have it's going to be in the conversation for the rest of the year, and people are going to get around. People that are playing Horizon right now are going to get into Elden Ring, and it's going to have like a slow build, even though it has this huge, massive launch. It's still going to build up over the year. I think. And by the end of the year,
games always do that.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, like people are still talking about Bloodborne. People people still play Bloodborne and still talk about even Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. People still play those games.
And once those people do that, it's all they talk about, and that's going to happen this year. Yeah.
Yeah, Horizon can't catch a break either. Man, it gets slapped by Breath of the Wild. Now here comes Elden Ring. It's like, I actually, you know what? I really hope that God of War and Breath of the Wild 2 come out this year, because I want to see that Game of the Year lineup. I want to see what happens. That'd be interesting. Nate, your thoughts on Elden Ring?
It's a good game. I mean, as has been touched on by everyone else on the cast.
Are you playing it right now?
I am. While everyone was talking about it, I decided to actually play it.
Hell yeah.
I have to watch.
It seemed like a smarter decision. But no, the world is interesting to explore. You're always stumbling upon something new. I was on my horse going by the coast, and I find a random catacomb. I go through it. I fight these 2 giant hobbits. I beat them. I go through another cave. All of a sudden, I'm at a church with a dead dragon at it.
Yeah, that's at the island. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
I was like, okay, I didn't expect to find this. And you don't even have to go through that cave, because once you beat the boss, you have that portal to go back to the entrance. But you're like, I can still go further. So I was like, let me explore. Let me see what's really back here. So I wasn't expecting that. It was cool of how the map is really developing. You're always finding something new. And that's what makes it exciting. That's why I'm playing it right now, is that I want to see what's beyond the next corner. And I'm not just rushing to the first boss. I want to go to these sub-bosses. I want to explore the catacombs. I want to really immerse myself in this setting, see what it has to offer, and figure out the best approach to these various sub-bosses, be it the dragon or the pirate guy in the river that is insanely strong. I know I have to get stronger, so I'll come back to him at a later time, or I want to come up with a strategy that I can overcome him. That's the appeal of the game right now. And yeah, I'm only, maybe 8-9 hours into it. So any impressions right now are still fresh.
Yep.
But there's so much to this game that I still want to see. And that's a great characteristic of a title, is that you want to stay with it. You want to continue to explore. You want to see more and more and more of it. And that's where Elden Ring is really strong. And to like MVG's point, it has that Breath of the Wild type feel. It's fresh, it's new, it's exciting. And I think FromSoft, if this is the direction for their games moving forward, this is an exciting new direction for FromSoft, for all their future software. There's still a place for the Dark Souls type linear projects.
They got to go back to Bloodborne.
Yeah,
they never will unless Sony comes with a bag. But
I mean, Sony might come with a bag, though. I mean,
they might.
After this game, like 750,000 concurrents, whatever it was today, 860,000 concurrents. So
I was glad they did Destruction All Stars instead of Bloodborne. That was close.
That was good.
I think they have one more deal with Sony for one more exclusive.
Oh,
yeah.
I think they signed something years ago where they had a 3-deal exclusive with Sony, and Bloodborne was the second one.
Kingsfield remake.
Interesting.
Okay. Yes. A Toji 3.
You know what? That's going to be the next thing I play on my Steam Deck right there, Kingsfield.
Right.
Well, we'll be playing more of Elden Ring, I'm sure, going forward. And Sean, we got GT7 next Friday. You're in on that, right?
Yeah, I've been buying too much shit. Bought Horizon, bought Elden Ring. It's getting expensive, man.
Over 100 gigabytes, by the way.
Ew.
That's GT Sport was over 100 gigabytes. I know that.
Over 100 gig. You can download a real car for that. I'm good. I'll just go drive my car.
I'll play Gran Turismo 7.
I don't got a sport car like that, but my car is turbocharged. I'm just gonna go out there and do donuts out in the field. I'm good. That's my GT7.
I get all the Gran Turismos when they release. I like Gran Turismo.
I love Gran
Except Sport. Sport was all right. Sport was all right. It was all right. But they do package in. It's all on the disc, so you don't have to download it. Like they just have a patch, I'm sure. Even the PS4 version has 2 Blu-rays to make sure it's all there.
Oh, so but it still has to install and shit, right? So it's still
install. Yeah.
Did you see Amazon sent out a bunch of copies early?
Yeah, or through Amazon. No, well, what can you do? I'll pick it up for. Actually, no. You know what? The Sony ones don't go on sale at Walmart. Now I think about it, those are still the regular price.
When I saw Horizon, it was $70. I was like, you gotta be. This company is fraudulent, bro. They out here it's supposed to be 60. Supposed to get a free upgrade. Sony out here charging 70 at Walmart, bro. I'm good.
Man. Evan, we got Discord question over there.
How would you feel about a 3D Donkey Kong game made by Platonic?
I'm okay with that. Why not?
Exclusively?
Someone's got to make Someone's got to make a 3D Donkey Kong game. I don't know how good it would be. They'd need some help.
I mean, really, Donkey Kong 64 sucked anyway.
You know what? Get Forever Entertainment. I'm sure they'll do a good job with it.
Probably,
Donkey Kong 64 fans coming after you, Sean.
the game sucks. Come on.
That's the DK rap.
Real bad.
That's the best
only
part
good
of
thing.
the
Yeah.
game.
That game sucks.
He is, but Diddy has the peanut shooter. That was awesome.
It made me throw up one time back in the day, man. I was playing, I was collecting shit, the blurry graphics. I was just like, I didn't know I was lactose back then, and I was having macaroni and cheese, and I was eating it, and I was playing the game, and I just threw up all over everything. Sorry to put that nasty visual on you guys, but it really did make me throw up.
Part of my problem with Donkey Kong 64 is the fact that I did not play it originally on the N64, and so I didn't play it till later when I was like 20, 21 or something like that. But even so, I mean, the game is just it's so slow. And
I like the multiplayer.
Are so just blah, even with your expansion pack. Whereas a game like Super Mario 64, it still looked good as a platformer.
Yeah. Yep.
There's so much collecting, man. Like that game, you have just collecting. Just so much collectathon, man. It just
that's what it was back then. It was all collectathon stuff.
But Mario 64 wasn't. Mario 64 was like you actually did stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you actually like did objectives in Mario 64. Like, hey, do this. DK64 has that, but it's just too much collecting, too much banana coins. 5 different characters. Got each character has their own coins. It's like, bro, I'm good. Throw up.
Yeah, another one, Evan.
Are there any special games you play to distract yourself from shitty events?
Yeah, Resident Evil 2. Pretty much after every traumatic thing I've had to deal with in life, I go back and play the original PlayStation 1 Resident Evil 2.
I'm not trolling, but Silent Hill 2 would be my game.
What was the question? I missed it.
A game you would play after having a shitty event, like if there's something that you'd have like as a go-to to just take your mind off of it.
Alcohol. Greatest game of all.
Mario Strikers on the GameCube. That's it right there. Yeah. No online connectivity. Nothing. You just play.
Probably some
We need
Windjammers.
Fire Emblem Awakening. We need that game remade.
Windjammers.
But yeah, Awakening would be my game.
Achievement asks, where is Redfall?
Got delayed, right?
Question. I don't.
It seems like it might get delayed, but
It's probably not coming out in the summertime, unfortunately.
Probably not.
Yeah, we'll see if it makes it this year. That's like going to be the question now: is if it's a holiday release or if they just move it into next year. Unfortunately, Derek asks, question for Sean: are you liking Elden Ring now? Joined as you just talked about it. I am in the same boat as your video about it. Change sides?
No, I'm still just I'm not abandoning it or not playing it anymore. I'll keep messing around with it, but I don't really have. I don't care to finish it. Whereas Horizon, I definitely want to finish that. I've been enjoying that a lot more and appreciating it a lot more since playing Elden Ring, which if you watch a video from a couple days ago and I was talking about the Elden Ring reviews, I did not expect that to be the case. I thought that Elden Ring was going to pull me away from Horizon, but if anything, I think it brought me back to it.
There you go. Very good. Very good. Let's talk about the Steam Deck, because Jeff Grubb has the Steam Deck. Reviews went up, by the way. A lot of reviews went up, and for the most part, it's pretty positive. It seems like Valve still has some work to do with it from a few reviews that I saw, but they appear to know that, and they themselves have said, it's not really finished yet. So it does look like people who are getting it initially are going to be basically beta. I don't want to say beta testing, but kind of guinea pigs, like giving feedback and all this.
It's kind of about as hot as the PS5 did. If anyone had the PS5 at launch when they gave out review units of that, like they're like, okay, here's a thing, Dropbox with the thing you got installed, actually get the OS and stuff like that. So it's pretty similar to that. This is just kind of how hardware launches these days, and even as it is, I'm really liking it. I really like it so far. Okay, so how big is this thing, Jeff Grubb? So yeah, I think it's a good place to start, because that is the sacrifice they made to get the performance, to get the battery life, to get and to have all the inputs that they have for this thing to actually be able to run any PC game. It's pretty big. I can just hold it up. I mean, people have probably seen the comparisons 100 times now, but there's the Steam Deck. And here is a Switch. Oh yeah, that guy. So yeah, but like, keep in mind, this is a full gaming PC. This is a gaming PC. It is a really tiny gaming PC, and I think that's the way to think about it, because it has the full capabilities of like you're like most machines. Now it's running Linux, but it can run most Windows games through this Proton layer. You can boot into a desktop mode, and you have full access to a version of Arch Linux that is really well maintained and has its own Discover store where you can download Dolphin and download a keyboard app so you can then use the touchscreen to use the keyboard and stuff like that. So this is, and it gives you the controls over like how the TDP is drawing power, and you can set that with like a touch of one button. And so it's like it feels like when you hack a switch and you have the ability to like overclock it or whatever. Like they give you these options just with one button touch. So it feels very fully fledged. It feels very beefy in terms of putting the power in the user's hands to get the most from their PC games. And most games I tested have worked. I've played 20 hours of Elden Ring on this, for like 25 hours now, and it's been great. It's exactly how I want to play games these days, because it's very rare where I can sit down guilt-free at my computer and just, or my consoles and just play games for hours at a time. I got too many other responsibilities, but being able to get in 25 minutes here and there on this thing it's been a dream. It's been great, and it plays games really well. The performance is, I think it should be surprising to a lot of people, because even on paper, it looked powerful, but booting up Resident Evil Village, a game that just came out last year with really good visuals, getting 60 frames per second, just going to the recommended settings, had that look very good. It's incredible. Most games are running at 60. There's a few. Cyberpunk was like 50 frames per second. I think that Elden Ring is getting, like I said, like 45, 50 frames per second. Overall, though, it's just most games are going to work, and they're going to work really well.
How's that screen looking?
I think it looks pretty good. It's not as good as the OLED. It's not an OLED. It's not no comparison really, but I think it's pretty good. It doesn't show great on camera and stuff, but in person, I think the black levels are pretty good. The contrast is pretty good for not being an OLED. I've had zero complaints about the screen. It's really nice.
There's porn look on it.
Fantastic. And well, I mean, no joke, like one of the first games they tested on this thing were like a bunch of porn games on Steam. So yeah, I've seen a lot of penises and boobs on here. They look great.
Good. First games they tested or you tested?
They tested it. No, seriously. Well, I tested it too, of course. Like I got to do my due diligence. So Jay, come on. But they are like on the Steam verified thing, which means they tested it themselves. It's like Trials of Nadia or whatever. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I got the Steam account, so I just got it. I'm like, oh, that's just a giant penis. That's a giant penis in this
game. I like the idea. You closing your office door, go, Daddy's working.
Lock that door behind you.
Door. Yep.
What about battery life though?
I think that this one always frustrated. This one frustrated me when the Switch came out, and people were like, "Oh, only 2 hours to 6 hours or whatever. That's terrible." And I'm like, guys, this has been the battery life of handhelds since the 3DS and the DS and the Vita and the PSP. They last about 2 hours on their toughest games. Now, Elden Ring is getting me about 100 minutes with 100% charge. It's a very not optimized game, but I mean, I just kind of don't get the perspective people have here. It's like, would you rather have the option to play Elden Ring for for an hour and 40 minutes, or no option at all, like handheld? Like, I mean, to me, it seems great. It lasts a lot longer than most gaming PCs if you were to take them off of wall power, and it's made to do it. So again, they give you those options. If getting a lot of battery life is important to you, it's very easy to do so. You set the TDP to like 4 or 5 watts. You lock the frame rate at 30. And these things are not like buried in the menus. Again, they're right in the quick settings thing. So it's very easy to get more battery life out of this. And
see, I like that. The quick settings just like right there, and you just play whatever you need to.
It's fantastic. It's really well thought out. And if you're playing a less demanding game, I'm getting like 6.5 hours. I think you can probably get 8 hours if you then add like the TDP limiter on there, but like, why would you? Because you're getting 60 frames per second. 6 to 6.5 hours on those kinds of games is really good. Like Vampire Survivors was like, I'll test Windjammers, but Vampire Survivors was getting me like 7 hours. So I'm like, this is more than that. That's a great long session of Vampire Survivors.
All right, MVG, go ahead.
Well, before we get into the emulators, I do want to ask you about that. And I know you've been following up with my tweet. I wanted to ask you, and this is I'm being dead serious.
Please.
Is this, you were talking about playing Elden Ring. Can you actually play Elden Ring on this device and actually beat bosses and play the game without kind of struggling?
It's more than like, it's not like, we're not talking about, is it playable? We're not even in that realm. We're so far above, is it playable? We're talking about, is it going to get 60 frames per second? Like, it's getting 45, 50 frames per second solid. There are still the same hitches that every platform has, but it's not during combat. Like, those hitches happen probably because they're loading in the world or something. It's not happening during boss fights for me at all. So I am having zero. This is how I'm going to play Elden Ring. I'm going to play it mostly on here. Occasionally I'll go play it on the 3080 Ti. so I could see the full glory of this world actually running in a solid 60 frames per second. Yeah, but it fits much better into my life, and it's not. We're not just skating by. This is not just eking out these games. It is playing them the way that they were meant to be played, just on a smaller screen at 800p, which is a fine resolution for a 7-inch screen. That's very good. It's very crisp looking. It's fantastic. I mean, my headline was like, this is my favorite gaming PC ever. And I mean that because they have thought about things that no other gaming PC ever even attempts to try, because they're running on Windows. You can't really optimize this environment. Like, you're working in someone else's environment by working in SteamOS, working in this branch of KDE of Linux.
Yeah.
Valve has figured out a lot of ways to present these games in the best way possible, and it shows.
How do the controls feel in general?
Yeah, I really I think it's very comfortable whenever you're using the analog sticks. The D-pad is pretty good. I think it might be a little bit further out than some people like. It's kind of, I'm trying to show it as best I can. Using the touchpads, that is when you have to bend the thumb down, and that can be maybe a little bit of a pain, but you're going to have to just kind of hold it a little bit differently. Overall, though, I find it to be very comfortable. In the first day with it, I'm like, this is a bit too heavy. I think I'm going to be kind of I think I'm going to find this discomfortable. But after that first day and kind of recognizing like, okay, I need to just hold it in a specific way, it's been nothing but comfort ever since. I really enjoy it. I mean, the fact that they have all of these control inputs as options. I mean, you have the sticks, you have the D-pad, you have the touchpad, you have the gyro, you have a touch screen. They've thought of everything, thrown it all in there.
Oh, it's a gyro. Okay.
Yeah, and it starts at $400, and that SD card version, I've been playing Elden Ring off of an SD card on here because they gave me the 256 gigabyte model. I've been playing off an SD card, and they integrated it into the hardware stack so well that it loads in like 5-10 seconds. It's still super fast. So that $400 model is actually super appealing. I think people should really consider that.
So I got a question. I don't do a lot of PC gaming. I'm really new to it. I don't understand a lot of like PC settings, graphics settings. How idiot proof would you say this is? For most stuff, will I just be able to hit recommended settings and be pretty all right?
Yes, and that's mostly what I've been doing, because I was like, most people are going to do it that way. Something like Resident Evil Village, like there is a recommended setting built into the game, and I just let it go. I think there's a few things you might want to familiarize yourself with. There's this thing called FSR, which is kind of like NVIDIA's DLSS, if you've heard of that. They have that as on a system level, and so far that's not working great. But if a game has that built in, it works fantastic. And Resident Evil Village has that built in. Maybe you'll want to like look and see if that's an option in the game. Turn that on. But for the most part, I've just been letting these games boot up and go. And if they have a recommended setting or an automatic setting, it's been almost flawless. It's been great. Now, I expect that to improve and continue, because I think this thing's going to sell pretty well. And if you're on PC, you're probably going to like want to, optimize your game for the Steam Deck. And that's going to mean having recommended settings and just go, because it's, it's one thing, hardware that people are going to know how to optimize for. So I would expect that to only improve over time. But as it is right now, it's already really good. I think it's pretty idiot proof.
Good companion system.
All right,
like
Jeff.
Ridiculous PC rig.
Yeah, let's
talk about emulators. So I was very unhappy to see that hardly anyone talked about emulators with the Steam Deck. That would have been the first thing that I would have started testing out. So I'm glad you started looking at Dolphin and stuff. So what can you tell us about your experiences so far with the emulators you've tried, like GameCube and N64 and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I've started doing that, and that the reason I planned to talk about it more. It was like one of the first things I was trying to do. I got RetroArch from Steam, and that only has support built in for the cores that are on the Steam DLC list, and that doesn't include many of the modern ones. It has Dreamcast and stuff like that, but it doesn't have Dolphin, I don't think. And Dolphin and RetroArch isn't very good anyhow. So I was like, I don't really want to just talk about that and wait till I can actually mess around with Dolphin for real and some of these other Yuzu and all these other things, but. When I tried to sit down and figure out how to install those, I was at a loss, because I'm like, I'm in the command line. I'm trying to do it from there, and this should be working. There's something weird about this SteamOS build that is not allowing it to speak to the GitHub repositories or whatever. So I was at a wall, and then when it launched, I discovered that there's the Discover store right there that has all of these emulators just built right in. This is just a common thing with these versions of Linux, where they just have their own stores that are they're GUI. So you just go in there, you pick them from a menu, and Dolphin's in there, Yuzu, Zemu, a whole bunch of emulators are just right there. So I got those installed, and I got them going, and they're for the most part they're working great. They work how you would expect. I'm trying to see if Dolphin runs better with Vulkan enabled or OpenGL. I'm trying to see I'm trying to test that stuff. But so far, it's going to be very easy to get the emulators. The big side of it is like, what about the ROMs? And well, you should back up your own games and play those. But if you are going to go to the dark side of the internet or whatever, it does get a little bit easier once you start getting that Discover store and you get something like the virtual keyboard, because the Steam virtual keyboard doesn't work in the desktop mode. So you have to like get that, and then you have to get this thing called Arc that can actually unzip 7-zip files and stuff like that. So like there's these weird hurdles of like, okay, I'm gonna have to set up this system to be an emulation box in a way that like everything else is just presented and it works just fine. But the capabilities are all there, and the system itself is working really good. I've been playing Metroid Prime today. I'm like gonna install the HD texture pack as soon as we're done here and the widescreen mode and see how that works. But it seems like it runs pretty well. I'm just gonna keep testing. But so far so good. I've been really happy with it.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Just have to wait for mine to come in.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just need to get that figured out, right?
One more question. What about people with tiny? We most of us have big man hands here, except for Dreamcast guy. Which he admitted himself he has tiny baby hands.
No, I have baby hands too.
Oh, you do? Okay, okay.
That's why you like T-Rexes, yeah.
How about tiny baby hands, Jeff Grubb? Is this good for tiny baby hands? I have big basketball player hands, so that's not me.
So one of the first questions I got from someone after I posted the review was a DM asking about this, and I've been thinking about it, and I think how it will work is your hand should be able to come up on the side if you have smaller hands, and this grip should still make it pretty comfortable. Now, I would like if you're a younger person, I would think the weight is going to probably become an issue. Like if you are thinking about getting that $400 version for like a 10-year-old, I mean, that price is like in that range where it's like maybe that's okay, but like a 10-year-old's going to find this to be pretty heavy. I think that's going to be the issue. I think the comfort for smaller hands is probably going to be okay. The analog sticks go right where I rest my hands, and I'm like cupping this grip just sort of naturally. But I think if you kind of have smaller hands, you're just going to move up on the grip, and your thumb should still naturally fall there. I'm guessing there though. It's really hard for me to like know for sure because there's going to be small quirks with everybody, and it's going to be different for everyone. But I mean, I haven't heard like a bunch of people like this thing has like 100 reviews or something like that. They send it out to everybody, so it's like I would like try to get out there, see if see if someone small review.
I get one.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't laughing at Jeff Grubb in the chat, by the way. I wasn't laughing at Jeff Grubb. John's stupid, so that's what you guys just have to realize that John's dumb.
But yeah, it's great. I love it. This is how I'm going to be playing games going forward for the foreseeable future.
So, PC games seem to advance at a pretty rapid pace. Are you concerned that maybe 18 months from now this thing will be kind of chugging along frame rate wise and stuff?
I'm not too worried about that. I mean, you say that, but I mean, we've kind of reached a little bit of a plateau since 2016, right? I mean, I remember that the RX 480, RX 580 came out, and those things have been able to handle 1080p gaming pretty consistently without issue at 60 frames per second for now we're going on 6 years or something like that. So yeah, I mean, that could be an issue, but I think that with this thing selling as well as it will, and it's going to be very popular, not just because it's going to be a great emulation thing, which a lot of people are very interested in. Like I got like 40,000 retweets on my thing saying, look at all these emulators that are just built into this store. But I think that developers are going to see that this is going to be a popular platform to optimize for, and it's going to be something to be considered. And I think a lot of developers will consider it. But I also I just don't expect, because that's why we're getting like stuff like ray tracing, right? Because like we have reached this plateau of visuals where games don't need to look much better than Doom 2016 looked, and that thing runs great on everything. So it's like, okay, where are we gonna use this extra power, or how are we gonna squeeze the next generation of like, hey, you need to upgrade your PC hardware because your games are looking bad, and everyone's looking around like they look great. What are you talking about? Well, now you need it for ray tracing. So I think that for the most part, we are going to be in this plateau for a little bit longer. I don't expect this to feel outdated in 18 months, but also I do expect them to update this with a Steam Deck 2, not super quickly, but within probably like 2 years or so, 2-3 years, because PC hardware is still rapidly advancing.
Yeah,
even if the games aren't taking super advantage of that. Like they're going to go to 4 nanometer on TSMC here pretty quickly, and that's going to be super efficient. This thing's going to shrink in size, and they probably will give it a little bit of a power boost as well, even if they just call it like a Steam Deck Pro or something like that. But at the very least, that's going to come pretty soon.
Yeah, I kind of felt like maybe it will align with whenever cross-gen hardware PS4 and Xbox One VCR finally goes bye-bye, because obviously there's still a lot of games that are coming out for that. But when the day comes where you're only getting next generation PS5 and Xbox Series games, maybe there'll be some
but it's got 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. Like that's pretty good. That's pretty forward facing in terms of like where they could have been. I think that's why Elden Ring works on it so well, is because it's got this huge cache that they could just put the game in, and it's it has to split that up amongst its video card and its CPU. But I mean, still, that's a pretty good number for this.
Okay,
awesome.
I think I'm gonna wait for the Steam Deck 2, just because the size is the thing that I particularly don't like.
Yeah, I think if the size is your hang up, I think that is going to be an issue. I think that if you need something to take with you everywhere, like I have like this thing I edited out of my video where I was walking, I'm like, with the Switch, I would bring my Switch everywhere. I would put it in my pocket and take it with me everywhere. This thing, I am never going to put in my pocket. It is either going to be my thing around the house, or if we are traveling, I will put it in my bag and play it at the hotel, play it on the plane. If I'm ever a passenger in the car, which never happens, but if I were, I would play it there. But outside of those scenarios, outside of like maybe public transportation, I'm not going to just like bring it with me and like on the whim that I might play it. And if that's how you need it, or if you're someone who travels light and doesn't need a big thing taking up a lot of space in a bag, you might want to wait. But if you are looking for something to play on the couch next to your significant other while they are watching a TV show and you don't want to take up the TV, this thing is going to be ideal.
Okay. Very good. Very good. That's a Steam Deck. People should have already got emails for the first wave, so we'll see how that keeps going when it comes to them distributing it. But it sounds like some people are going to wait until next year to get the thing. So
yeah, I'm like looking forward to the day where you can go to Best Buy and buy one of these. I just don't know when it's ever going to be.
That'd be nice.
It's going to be quite some time.
I'll buy one then. That's what I do. That's what I do with a lot of that limited stuff, is even if it's cool, I just hate the hunt.
I agree.
Let me go to some of the super chats here.
Actually, real quick, because we do have a Discord question. Huge hypothetical. Yeah. If the Steam Deck did actually manage to get like a commercial release, store shelves, all that, do we think it would take a good chunk of the Switch's user base for sales?
No, I don't think so. I don't think a mom's gonna buy this thing for their kids, or I don't think a lot of even mainstream who aren't like people. I think overestimate how many people are really into PC gaming, especially if you work at a store now and sell these games to people. Like there's a lot of people come in as just like, I'd rather pay for the convenience than the obvious thing of, you don't have to pay for online for PC. A lot of laptops now come equipped with cards that can play most of these games, and they're like, but I just want the PlayStation and the Xbox or the other Switch.
It is going to create a new market in PC gaming, I think. It's going to reach a new audience, but it's Pokemon will be a big deal in the emulation scene on the Steam Deck. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people who like have guides about how to get Pokemon games up and running on your Steam Deck, but it's not going to have the new Pokemon game, so it's just not really going to threaten the Switch in any real way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good companion system that, like, if you have a really nice PC and you're like, that's only $400, that's like a fifth of a video card. Let's just go get that, and I can play these games with me.
It'll actually get me into probably playing PC games, because I was done. I deleted everything off, but this thing actually has me interested because I can play it conveniently, not booting up like for my work PC. Like I don't want to mix the two. This is my PC for work. I don't want to buy another one just for playing games. So this will be like, hey, with the wife. You know what I'm saying? Like Jeff Grubb said. So I'll actually kind of maybe get into PC gaming because of this. I'll definitely get one at some point.
And that's the most important thing about this thing is it is about playing games. So when you pick it up, it's not, you don't have to think about work. You don't have to like close the apps or the tabs that you have open from working all day. It is like picking up a Switch, where it's like it makes it so easy to like just get into playing a game, go to the store, buy a game, get going. And there's such a nice mental attitude there where like you pick up a system dedicated to playing games, it sort of frees you up a little bit. And that's one of the reasons that I feel so warmly towards this system, is because they've done everything they can to put that sort of attitude forthright. Like that's the thing that they have prioritized above all else, and it really works for me.
Let me go to some of the super chats here. I Live for Retro asks, will Bayonetta 3 be the Halloween game for Nintendo this year?
Yes.
It would make sense. I think that's a great spot to drop it. On a Ship says, congratulations, John, on the birth of your new baby girl. Hope the family is doing well, and blessings to you and yours. And then Sep John says, congrats on the baby girl. Yeah, everything went really, really smooth, really well. I mean, obviously I'm back now, but we were in and out for the most part. It was
easy for you, man.
Well, yeah, but like, oh,
is everything went real smooth? You don't have the baby in you.
No, but I mean, like, we were only there for one night. Sometimes you end up in the hospital for like 3 or 4 nights. It was like we got there at like 8:30, and the baby was here at like 9:05. And then we just like hung out for the day, spent the night, and then the next like morning, afternoon, we were out.
Baby was like, we good to go.
It was quick. It was very quick. Yeah, it was quick. So
my daughter went screaming and crying. You're lucky, John.
And then we were out. I was like, oh, good. We don't have to stay here for more than one night. Because if you're in the hospital, it's boring. You're just in that room, just kind of hanging out. They give you they throw a blanket at you, and it's like this like thin like mat on like in like the corner, and it's like, here. It's like, okay.
You need a Steam Deck.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like my MacBook and stuff there. So I was kind of hanging out, just like we were both just kind of sitting in the room waiting, because it was like that.
Did they?
Not a lot happened.
I don't want to get too personal, but did they do? Was it C-section or was it epidural or was it natural childbirth?
If it was C-section, she would have been in the hospital a little bit longer. So
that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was all natural. It was like I said, we got there and it was just like I said, it was 45 minutes later. And baby was here, and then we were just gonna hang out.
Normal childbirth.
Yeah.
Wow. Only that quick? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, your wife's a trooper, man.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to her.
I mean,
what's it like having a daughter? How are you feeling about it? You got a girl now, right?
I mean, we haven't got to the point where she's old enough to.
But I mean, you have to like consider all the anxieties about that. Like, that's all still real.
Yeah, what happens in 18 years when she says, "This is my boyfriend, Sean Long"?
Is that Dad?
You seen that
horror story right there?
That scene in
Sean on Twitter where he's really old. That's
reminds me of that scene in Bad Boys 2 where the daughter's got the day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, exactly. Hey, don't worry, I'll get her back by 11 and subscribe.
Yo, we're still on this podcast. John's like, he's dead.
I'll get back to you on that after the first year or two to see how she's getting older. It starts once she gets to the point where she's talking back and stuff, then it's like this is gonna be interesting.
I got 2 girls. It's great. It's awesome. I love having girls.
They'll be here before you know it, man. Trust me.
Yeah.
One minute I was playing Diablo 3, the next minute my daughter's kicking my ass.
There you go.
But still in Diablo 3 because we don't have Diablo 4.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me see. I was at there we go. This is Billy says, do you think Horizon would have won Game of the Year if it came out in November of 2021? And do you think it even has a chance of winning Game of the Year this year?
No, it's
a really.
comes out.
Fucking Christ! It's February. It's the second month of the year. Let it breathe a little.
There's still a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I also just think that the game is good, but there is definitely that sequelitis we have now, which is like a 10 out of 10 game getting a good sequel is just not treated quite the same. It feels like.
I think Sony is actually going to have. That's why they think they're going so hard on service games, because they recognize this is a problem where they spend a lot of money building up these new franchises. And by the time we get around to God of War 3, like there's going to be some real diminishing returns there, I think, even among the biggest fans. They'll be like, okay, this is great, but I think you should change it up next time. They'll be like, to what? Like, this is what we make really well. We make these games really well, just like this. Like, what? Yeah, we could change the setting, but to what? What are we going to change it to? So I think they're like, okay, we got to be prepared for our future where we're going to have to shift and think about something different. And yeah, it's going to be an issue.
Console Gamer asks, can you make this a poll question that chat? Here a cast response. What will come first? The new Silent Hill game will be announced, or MVG admits the GameCube is better than the N64.
Silent Hill.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Yeah.
Anytime now, right, Nate?
You'll probably get a spin-off, like a shitty spin-off or something.
Yeah, a pachinko machine. Then
they're making skateboard decks now.
Yeah.
See, we're building up. Small steps.
It's only a matter of time.
On a Ship says, what TV would each of you recommend for Xbox Series X and PS5? Thanks.
LG CX.
I mean, I've got the CX, but that's like 2 models behind now, right? There's like the C2 and
but
it
has all of the features you need. You don't need better than a CX. Now you can try and get a better one if you want, but it has all of the features to get you set for the rest of this generation. I personally think people maybe overstate the need for all those features. Like, it's good to have like mentally, because you're like, oh, I want to make sure I have everything that's supporting these things, but just get a pretty good TV and you're going to be fine. Like the most of the stuff happens on these systems anyhow.
PS5 doesn't even support a lot of like some of these features, you know. Like
VRR and stuff. Yeah,
it will though. The VRR is coming in a firmware.
When do you think that'll be coming? Because it's already been a couple of years now.
Soon.
Okay, good.
Yeah, version 4 up firmware's coming. I don't know exactly when, but it's coming.
It'll be a random like blog post one day when we wake up. Nice. It's like, all right, here it is. Okay.
Then that would help Elden Ring right now, you know. If they had it. So.
Nate says, "Congrats on Baby Spawn 3." Thank you, Nate. Zoob says, "Shout out to Clicks Painted Nails." Okay, there you go. Dark says, "What are the Spawncast opinions on the Book of Boba Fett? Have you seen it yet?" I haven't, but apparently the best episodes are the ones with the Mandalorian in it. So there you go.
I watched it and I legit hated it, and I feel bad, man. It is bad.
It's bad. It's a bad show. It's like the worst. Yeah, it's the worst sort of characteristics of all this modern Star Wars stuff. Yeah.
He kills nobody. Nobody dies. They just play patty cake for 8 episodes.
It's the most disappointing version of Boba Fett I can imagine, actually.
But why does Boba Fett even have such like a fan following? It was like he was a nothing character in the original trilogy.
Because he looked cool.
Star Wars is cool aesthetics. Like,
he looked cool.
Yeah, he looked cool.
You know what? It was the unknown, Nate, because we were like, this guy has to be awesome. Look at him. He's got a rocket on his back. And now we see him and we're like, this was a mistake.
Well, they should have just let him stay dead.
I almost want to call it the Matrix syndrome, which is like the mystery of the Matrix movies was so appealing of like, whoa, there's a real world? What's that look like? Let's see the city. Oh, there's a city. And then once we got it in the second and third Matrix movie, you're like, oh, maybe the mystery was cooler.
Cristobal says, "Congrats to Spawnwave on New Family Edition. Let's celebrate February as a great month of games and content. Prayers to Ukraine and families involved." Cristobal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Pride Zelensky live, brother.
Riot says, "Shout out to OJ. Sorry I couldn't swing by the pre-show to clown on you."
Who was that?
The Riot Patrol.
I'll ban him later. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Hey, shout outs, bro.
Maddie says, "Good day all. Finally get to see the show live and to hear my name being read out." Shout out to Maddie Dub. "Just sitting here in Australia and flooded in. Love all what you do and love the podcast."
Flooded in.
That's Brisbane, Australia.
Yep.
Oh,
my brother lives there. I should actually give him a call.
Shinru says, "Watching the Spawncast with friends on Discord. Continue to spread the word of the Spawncast. Also, thanks for the recommendation for laptops. MSI's bomb got for under $700. All right. Awesome. That's good to hear, Shinru. Zaid says, "Which Horizon game did you enjoy more?" So far, Forbidden West, but that's just because they did some quality of life stuff. And I think the structure is better because it's more Zelda-like.
I 100%ed both now, and I think I like the gameplay in every single way of Forbidden West, but God, I like the story a million times more in the first game.
Okay. Fish Fan says, "Thanks for a great show, Spawn Crew RGT. How awesome was the Taco Bell screw up today? Awesome. How's Gmod doing? Thanks."
Gmod's good. Taco Bell thing was pretty cool. I have.
How much that you eat?
Man, I really didn't eat all that much, and there's still like a metric fuck ton left. Like I don't understand.
Does Taco Bell warm up all right? Like, can you heat that up in the microwave? Okay.
Next day, it's not bad.
Okay. I've never tried because I mean I've never gotten like a 5-pound thing of Taco Bell randomly delivered to my door.
I was so confused.
Did you try anything new? Was anything there like eye opening? We were like, wow, I might.
No, because a lot of it was just like triples and quadruples. All I ordered was, I ordered the chicken. I forget what it's called. The crunchy chicken taco thing, and that comes with like a soft taco and a 5-layer burrito. I was like, okay, I'll get that with a drink, and like they sent me like 6 5-layer burritos, like 12 tacos. Like it was insane, and stuff I didn't even order was in there. I was so confused.
They gave you the stuff that was like probably at the limit of like the throw out time. They're like, screw it, just throw it in this bag.
I mean, that works for me, dude.
Oscar says pizza, Elden Ring, and Spawn Wave is how I enjoy my Saturday night. Cheers, fellas. Mr. Job says congrats on number 3. P.S. Sean's take on Elden Ring is based. DJ says, Nate, can you end the MLB labor issues? Thanks.
Yes, I'll call Bud Selig and tell him he's a fucking asshole.
Tariq says, what's stopping Capcom from releasing OG Resident Evil 1 through 3?
Didn't they already do it like in a collection?
No, on Steam they've released them, but the main theory, because there is no real official statement, but the main theory is that the developers have said that the remake are not called remake because they're the new official timeline. So it seems like they don't want to have an official thing that says Resident Evil 2 right next to another entry that also says Resident Evil 2, because they're technically the exact same name.
This is from McLovin. Says, same question we asked after Breath of the Wild. Do you guys think we'll continue to get traditional FromSoft games, or has Elden Ring changed things forever? I kind of think if you get a FromSoft game that's just very different in setting, like Sekiro, they could do that. Like still keep it traditional. But I like the open world stuff. I would like them to build on it. It does appear like this takes them a while to make, though. Elden Ring, I think, took them a minute. So
I think they'll still go back to like a Sekiro style game or like a Bloodborne style. I think they will. Maybe a smaller team, or I think they'll head back to, because you can't just continuously make a game this size in the new world. I mean, it's gonna take forever. You're gonna get 3 games in the next 15 years or something like that. It's gonna take a long time. So
it's from Sir says, MVG, is there a point in collecting physical Xbox One and Series games? Seems like everything must require an internet download.
There is no point.
Especially if it's like Halo. There's no game on that disc. It's
series. There's no point at all.
Yeah.
And it pisses me. It really makes me upset, because I want to buy games on Xbox Series, but I just can't support downloading the Series version. That's ridiculous. So I just buy games on PS5 now.
Jeff,
I condemn the wrong MLB commissioner. The current one is Rob Manfred, but Bud Selig still sucks.
Oh, that's not an asshole, yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff,
they're both assholes.
Jeff says, Elden Ring, you should not have to play a game for 20 hours, see it do something new within its genre. You see it immediately in the Souls genre.
Immediately.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, it's that every time, basically what I was trying to say, maybe I poorly conveyed it, is that every 20 hours feels like a different game. Like literally every 20 hours, it felt like things had changed so much. Scenic, gameplay, boss design wise, like every 20 hours, it felt like it became a different game.
Patrick asks, are there spiders in Elden Ring?
Yes, there are, and there's a couple different variations. There's also these big hand spiders, which if you have any spider phobia, those are gonna freak you out.
That thing came out of the ground at me. I was not happy.
Yeah, it's so muscly too. It's like
two hands next to each other, and they just come out at you.
Zoop says, Elden Ring butthole phrase popping. What's with that anyway?
Does anyone know what two fingers try hole?
Yeah,
I think, or no, 2 fingers butthole is the full quote.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something that people were doing way back in the day, and it just now it's mainstream. It was like a niche joke that they would do when the games stopped being less popular, but now the games are so popular, it's like day one, everyone's just saying finger a butthole.
Tijo says, anyone else disappointed that Elden Ring has no adaptive trigger support? That's why I bought it on PS5. Also, congrats, John. Yeah, that's kind of a shame. This is from X Trash lost to PlayStation. Says, Elden Ring is trash. Horizon Forbidden West. Mogs it. Xbox hyping it up.
Love it.
Seems like everyone reviewed it on the PS5 though.
Yeah, it seems like it's probably going to sell best. It's probably going to sell best on PS5, PlayStation 2 as well. Like PlayStation 4 and PS5 is probably going to do the biggest numbers on there, like by far. So
let's go to the Capcom stuff. Yeah, we'll go to Capcom. We got Street Fighter 6.
Yay!
Jeff told us Street Fighter 6 was coming. It was there. There you go. Good job, Jeff.
You're welcome. No problem.
I asked a question on this real quick, John. Why does Ryu have to walk sideways into doors tonight? Like, that's what I got. Like, why does he got to turn sideways?
Because if he goes straight, they have to replace the door every time.
I like the person who said it looks like someone was playing an original Game Boy game on their Game Boy Advance SP and went widescreen with him. That was good. But
like the game, like when you play your GameCube, like when you first try to GCHD and the GameCube's like all stretched out.
Yeah. We do have so Street Fighter 6 is a thing. It's happening. And it looks like the logo is like the big controversy. It's so funny because it's like it's a logo, but
I mean, what else is there to talk about? I mean, they just showed characters flexing in each other.
I think there's the question of like platform and all of that, and
yeah,
maybe art style, RE engine, maybe.
They didn't show anything to like give us any indication other than there wasn't anything. So my hunch is if Sony is paying for this game in the same way they helped pay for Street Fighter V, their logo would have been there, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, the weird thing is it was in the Capcom leak show that they were working on an Xbox Series version of it and an Xbox One, so it does appear this is even going to be cross-gen anyway.
Let's get to the actual meaningful information concerning the Street Fighter announcement, and it wasn't even Street Fighter 6. It is that we're getting the of Darkstalkers in a single collection from Capcom this summer.
That's a good collection. Very nice collection.
With rollback netcode, physical with rollback netcode.
Yep.
Let's go, baby.
There was like what was one Cyberbots or something? Was that? There were some weird games. I'm like, they got this out of the vault. Wow.
Cyberbots is good.
Yeah, but like, who would have been like, oh, they're definitely putting that in the collection?
It is a little bit. It does make them look a little bit weird because it's like, man, Capcom used to release a lot of cool fighting games in the 90s.
Yeah.
And now we're getting Street Fighter 6, and
they've already released a lot of them already, like on that Capcom arcade and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of the games they've already brought out. So I think it's good they're actually kind of dipping into some of the CPS2 games that they never actually brought to systems
on a physical release.
Yeah,
they look gorgeous. Physical looks so good.
All right, rollback netcode is pretty cool. Good to see that they're going to have online play pretty much across the board there. They're going to have ranking matches and all this. Kind of, what this kind of reminds me of is back in the day we got Third Strike on the original Xbox, and it was a big deal because it had online play and it had like ranking and voice chat. For some reason, they let us talk to each other. Terrible mistake, but it was like. It was a big deal because it took that older title like and just brought it into like this newer setup with online play. I'm kind of getting that feeling for this one, but just way
Iron
more.
Galaxy did that one, right? Iron Galaxy made that.
Oh gosh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, jeez. So that is a cool collection, and I'm picking up right away. Even though I'm not a big fighting game fan, there's just so many weird fighting games that I'm like, just to try it out.
Red Earth is another one you probably never played. That game is so many on there. Fantastic.
I don't know what this is, but hey, you know what? For the collection and getting it for the Switch collections, I'll probably get on the Switch with the cartridge and all this. They're older titles that'll probably look the same on all the platforms. So.
Can we get into the Street Fighter 6 analysis?
Yeah, Street Fighter 6.
I did a little bit of it. I'm actually a huge competitive watching Street Fighter fan. I used to play Street Fighter back in the day, but now I just kind of just watch more so than anything. So I know all the ins and outs of the game, but I don't play it anymore because I don't feel like playing it anymore. Street Fighter 4 was the last one that I actually truly felt like playing and competing. But Street Fighter 6, it looks like the announcer. They got a cool announcer now. Street Fighter 5 was like nothing. This time, like you hear the announcer in the trailer, so that's good because maybe it brings back a little bit of the spice from Street Fighter 4. The announcer in that game was awesome, and then like the colors that they put, kind of like it's not like a water paint, but they kind of had a little bit more of a vibrancy, and that. So that's cool. So it looks like they're trying to take a little bit mix of Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 4 a little bit, and then add some realism on top of it. So we'll see. Is it Unreal Engine, because that's what Street Fighter 5 uses, Unreal Engine, or is it the RE?
It's the RE engine.
You're saying they confirmed RE. Did they confirm it?
Okay.
They didn't publicly confirm it, but it is RE engine.
Look at the game. Yeah, look at the game. Sense. Look at Ryu.
Did you see the veins?
The roided out Ryu looks exactly like Chris Redfield.
People were talking about though. People were talking about something else that was roiding out on Ryu, and it was a little disturbing.
I know what you're talking about.
He's got penis right there.
I'm just saying, if you got a bulge that big, I'm pre-ordering for the bulge. I want to get the full package.
Street Fighter bulge,
the full package, yeah.
Street Fighter 6 inches, yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter. You guys know Ryu doesn't do any of that, right? He keeps it.
Yeah, he's never had sex. He has the most never had sex energy of any video game character.
It's like Goku, if his dick slipped near somebody, he'd be like, "Oh, sorry, madam."
All right, so RE Engine, we're pretty sure it makes sense, so they don't have to pay licensing for Unreal Engine or any of that, and they're gonna have their logo right there, I'm sure, for RE Engine on like esports and all this. But then they showed that logo. The first thing I tweeted when I saw it immediately was, this is the most generic thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is like, if you were just like, oh, we needed a logo. we got to announce this thing in an hour.
my friend was like, it looks like a paintball place like in the middle of nowhere. Like if you went to a paintball place in the middle of nowhere, that would be their logo. I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
From 2004.
But people started putting it next to like the old logos, and the old logos were all stylish and like really nice
flames coming off of them.
It looked way over the top, and this was just like if you walked in like a super corporate looking logo with like the the nice like blazer or Nate showing up to a convention for some reason like that.
It's not a blazer; it's a vest. It is a buttoned-up shirt with a vest.
I think also sometimes you'll occasionally see leaked logos where they prototype different versions of it. This looks like the alpha version where like, all right, let's see something in this shape. And they just went, just print it.
I'm guessing it's not the final logo though. They just can't be the final logo.
I feel like they're gonna be like, I feel like now they're gonna be like, no, that's not the final logo, guys. We were just
if that's the case, what was the whole point?
Exactly. What was the whole point? Like
for the roids.
They just said they're working on it. That was the actual point.
But why?
It's like change.
So like nobody's fucking whoa, there's gonna be a Street Fighter fucking 6? Like wow, I didn't know that the most popular fighting
now. They're making another Monster Hunter, they're making another Resident Evil, they're making another Street Fighter. Like they're gonna announce it.
Why did there need to be a countdown just to have another countdown for the summer?
I mean, isn't what we always do though? Is a countdown for a countdown, right?
But they don't have. There was nothing. Like all we saw was
reusing the game. Thank you.
Think about the timing. It's the end of their fiscal year. This gets investors excited.
Also,
the Capcom Cup too.
If you look at Japan, this news was way more hype in Japan. I feel like America was more mixed at it, but in Japan, this was absolutely huge. In fact, in Japan, people had been questioning a lot because they announced officially that the last character was going to be the last character, and there's been this like 7-month gap where people were kind of like, so what's that mean? Are we going to get like another Street Fighter Arcade edition? What does this mean? So I feel like this was kind of them just rewarding the fans. It feels weird that the timer was the weirdest move for sure.
Max, can I tell you why it was so big in Japan? Why it's big? Because people are celebrating the death of Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
Regardless of what anybody says, people, I tell you, I'm very connected to people. I watch people stream this game. People hate Street Fighter V. It is not a bad game, but people just are excited to move the hell away.
You guys got to admit, like, Stormwatch Eagles, they're not taking that Ryu slander.
Well,
it's all over Ryu.
You saw there was a really funny
Stormwatch.
I went to a bunch of the fighting game forums, and somebody photoshopped. They like found a way where his head is properly scaled, but his chest is too big. So they basically just compressed him by about 15%, and it looked normal.
Yeah, it looked normal. I saw that. Yeah. I don't know. This logo thing is weird though. It just doesn't look. And it got to the point where it's so generic looking that people found a logo like template that looks so similar to it on Adobe. I don't think Capcom took that. I think they just made this thing so generic that people were like, look, it looks like a stock picture.
You don't think that they might have bought it then just altered it just a little bit?
Well,
they might have done it.
The person apparently who was selling it on Adobe was like, we'll sell it to him. It's fine. Like, I don't know if they would have just taken it and been like, we're going to alter this now and maybe they won't notice.
But
they could have bought it for $80. It's like
Capcom's recent history. Aren't they being sued by someone for like textures in a book that they stole?
They settled that for the photographs, which I assume money changed hands. But in this case, it would have been $80 to buy it. It's like
they also messed up. They also messed up the what's it called? What was it? Okami though, with the IGN thing, like they just did that.
Yeah. You know, Capcom on like the spine of a couple of their games. It was like
Resident Evil Revelations. They misspelled. I have the misspelled.
Yeah, they misspelled Revelations.
Maybe they're like art departments, just or like they're
I think they
artists
purchase more or take more from outside to save money on the actual pre-production.
If I was Capcom, I would just be like, oh, our bad. We should have bought that rather than be like, we designed a logo so bad. You guys think it's for sale on the Adobe store right now.
maybe this was part of their marketing. Everyone's talking about the game over this stupid logo that is really inconsequential.
I think they're playing 4D chess with us.
4D chess. Yeah.
No,
I think
not giving them that much.
Everyone would have been talking about it anyway because everyone's like, yes, no more Street Fighter V.
There's the Revelations thing.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I have that.
Oh my god, I have that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember looking at that and I couldn't tell. I was like, something about this is wrong, but I don't know what.
Is that one worth more than ones that aren't? I wouldn't think so. I guess
because they made so many of them with that misprint.
Okay.
Interesting. So when do we think this is? Think this is next year? Street Fighter? I think they're gonna try to get out. Okay, next year.
Next year.
All right. You want to take any bets on if it's going to be on the Xbox?
I think it will be.
I think so too.
Did any brands
Switch.
retweet the announcement, or was it just Capcom?
You mean for like esports?
Or
like just in general?
Brands in
Capcom put it
general.
out, but did like Sony retweet
like
it?
Sony
Did
or
Microsoft put out a tweet about it? Did any brand do it, or is it just Capcom? And
You figure Sony would, because they have a stake in like Evo and all of this, where it's obviously gonna be huge. But I don't think so.
I'm not sure if Sony's management is as. I think the allure of Street Fighter was a lot higher coming off of Street Fighter 4.
Oh yeah, coming off 4, yeah.
Than it is right now. So will you pay?
Capcom doesn't
for
need
this?
it as much, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Capcom doesn't need
getting
money
Street
like
Fighter
they
5 was huge. Everyone was like, "Oh my," because Street Fighter 4 sold like 10 million or something like that with all platforms combined. So
what kind of position was? I'm trying to think what kind of position Capcom was in when 5 was in development coming out. Whereas
it wasn't great.
They were on their downslide.
Very rough.
Now they're in a much better position where they're like, we can fund this thing. Let's do it.
Because Monster Hunter's heat now, they sold crazy amounts of Monster Hunter and everything. So, I mean, I would love to see it back to multiplayer. Like having Street Fighter only on Sony was just.
It hurt its sales too. It did hurt its sales.
And if it's
Sony
Sony engine, it really could run on anything. It could run on Switch. I mean, it could be on mobile phones.
You know what? If I'm Capcom, I might even talk to Microsoft about a Game Pass deal for that thing.
I mean, that might be why no one retweeted it, right? Because maybe there are still negotiations about that sort of thing.
Street Fighter 5, when it came out, I mean, you can say, well, if it was on Xbox, it would have done better. But Street Fighter 5 was an absolute broken piece of hot garbage when it came out.
It took them half a year to lower the.
It didn't work. It only had like 8 characters. It was completely unfinished.
That Capcom was just, they were just in trouble.
And I follow some of the FGC guys like Justin Wong and all those guys, and all of them were saying this game is garbage. We're not playing this. We're not playing this until it gets fixed. And it literally took 12 months for Capcom to basically start fixing the game.
They were going to add that story mode, and it was like that was nothing. There was like, I remember I was like on a train in Amsterdam when it came out, and I was listening to a bunch of podcasts and people just ripping that thing apart. That's like a memory I have for some reason.
The online was rough. It was so rough for a long time, and it actually just somewhat recently got better online. When it comes to down to, I mean, it's still using delay-based netcode, but hopefully Street Fighter 6, you get the guys back. I mean, you just didn't see like the OGs playing the game too, like actually winning. That was the problem. Like Daigo was getting washed, and he's like Daigo, you know what I'm saying? He's like Street Fighter Master. He's getting washed. All the guys that are good before getting washed because of V-Trigger. So I really hope that we can talk about the logo and all that, but we need to talk about the gameplay too. Like I really hope that they limit this V-Trigger stuff. Needs to be toned down. Some characters are way too overpowered. It's just not balanced when you have some characters that can just pop a V-Trigger, then all of a sudden they're just body. I mean, you're winning the whole time and they can just instantly. It's like Pokemon Unite. If you ever play Pokemon Unite with the whole Zapdos in the center, it's like, I hate that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just completely overturn it. You could be destroying someone. So I really hope that they balance it to where it can actually be back to what Street Fighter 4 was,
who's the guy who's now in charge of it? Is the Devil May Cry combat guy in charge? Who is it?
No, Hashimoto he made Bayonetta. So he's from Platinum. That's what it is. I think he's part of the team. I don't know if he's the lead, but I know that he's part of the main team with this. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think he worked on Devil May Cry 2 as well.
I guess we'll see more info on Street Fighter 6. They said this summer. So we'll see if they're ready to tell us platforms and show gameplay. Evan, we have Discord question over there.
Should games that have technical flaws such as frame drops, issues with rest mode or whatever receive a 10 when reviewed?
You mean just with like in general, like
just in general, if there's a lot of bugs,
performance be? I feel like it should, but I almost wonder if at times some people are like, this will probably get fixed, and they're concerned like, oh, my review won't age well. I mean, that's just the state it was delivered to you, and I don't know, you got to rate what's given to you.
So I want to quickly say this as a person who has reviewed hundreds of games now, which is very weird to think about. But my thing is that sometimes people confuse 10 out of 10 as a perfect game, and they are not quite synonymous. It's that it is the game that it is exactly what they achieved. They wanted to make a big open world Dark Souls. They nailed it. I played it on Xbox Series X. I had almost no frame rate. I literally had frame drops for about 5 seconds every 5 hours. So for some people, they may have just not encountered it.
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot. Like a lot of times, like a game will come out and people are like, "This thing's so buggy" in the reviews, and I'll put up my review like, "I didn't have a single bug. I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me because I didn't have a single bug. It was just my experience." And yeah, the thing with the perfect, people want to say 10 out of 10 is perfect. They're like, how nothing's perfect. 10 out of 10 does not mean that. It's like that conversation is really old, by the way. People like, I mean, I've been reading reviews, game reviews my entire life. I remember when EGM was like, we'll never give anything a 100 because that's perfect, or a 10, whatever their scale was, because that means perfect, and nothing's perfect. And then one day they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. If nothing's perfect, why do we even have 10? So we're going to change our review scale up. And this was like 25 years ago. So it's like, I'm like, that conversation's been over and done with for forever. So that is never meant perfect now for a very long time.
Plus, I mean, games like Link to the Past and Resident Evil 4 exist, so the perfect game is out there.
True.
There you go.
Well, it's also subjective too, like how if it's perfect. I mean, 45 frames might be perfect for somebody, or how it plays might be just fine. It might not have a problem at all.
Nate.
So so there's that too.
Nate, the other was it last week before? I said,
oh God,
that Ocarina of Time was a 3D Link to the Past.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Am
not
I
really
wrong?
controversial. People have been saying that for years.
Apparently that was controversial. Okay. Second thing. I said if I was going to go back and revisit a game on the N64 with The Legend of Zelda, I would go back and revisit Majora's Mask over Ocarina of Time.
You said Majora's Mask was a better game than Ocarina
Yes,
of Time.
I think it's a better game now going back to it.
True.
Nope.
True.
Nope.
Also, can I actually take a 10-second victory
see,
lap?
Nate immediately didn't say no.
I was going to say, when we were all guessing Metacritic, by the way, for Elden Ring, I was correct. Just want to say it.
You said 95, right? You were closest. You were definitely closest, yeah.
Nate gave Skyward Sword a 9 out of 10. I mean,
yeah. And in the context of the review, it is the people who would like that style of game reviewed as a 9, but my personal read of the game was closer to a 7.
I hate this game. 9 out of 10.
I had a lot of problems with it.
What do you think about that statement, Nate? I said I think right now, looking back on it, not like then when we were all like, wow, this is 3D. Majora's Mask is one that I think is better now going back to it than
the N64 original Majora's Mask or the 3DS remake?
Oh, just N64. Like if I have a 64 in front of me and I'm popping one or the other in right now,
you would choose Majora's Mask over.
I would choose Majora's Mask.
I'd still go Ocarina.
Oh,
Thank you. I've been playing and I'm just not a fan of like the crazy amount of just puzzle. Like all Zelda games are puzzle, but goodness gracious, man, there's so much wonkiness with this game and going back in time and then redoing this. I understand the charm, but holy hell, man!
When Majora's Mask clicks for you, there's a fantastic game there.
Yes,
it's just getting to the point of where it clicks.
Yeah. To me, I like Majora's much more. I think to me, Majora, I like the weirdness of it. Is that I feel like maybe it's that I've only beaten it 5 or 6 times, where I've beaten all the other Zeldas like 15 times. I think it's the remaining mystery to Majora's Mask. I like when I make mistakes and have to rewind time and stuff.
All right, Sean, your Elden Ring video is nothing apparently to that compared to that Majora's Mask tweet that I made, so you're good. that was something else. I was just standing in the kitchen waiting for something to warm up, and I'm like, you know what? I do like Majora's Mask. I'm gonna let people know. And
all the best tweets happen in that scenario, by the way. You're just waiting for something else to happen. Yeah.
Also, I was kind of like, Twitter, nothing's going on Twitter. I'm gonna tell people Majora's Mask is better.
It's almost like Wind Waker. Remember when people were, Wind Waker? It reminds me of Wind Waker sometimes, man. When people talk about how bad Wind Waker was.
Next time, I'll make that statement next week. Don't worry.
And then later, everyone, Wind Waker is amazing. It's awesome. But when it came out, people didn't necessarily like it as much.
That was me. I was a Wind Waker hater.
Just like the GameCube.
I have a video tomorrow.
MVG, you're not right about the GameCube very often, but that was a right statement.
I have a video tomorrow where I went back. I ordered an old like circular from like 2002 holiday, I think. And I debinded it, so I like cut the spine off so I could scan all this stuff. So I have like high definition scans of them. Dude, the GameCube section starts on page 141. The thing is 150 pages long.
That sounds about right.
It is they actually saved the back cover for the GameCube. Like it is literally part of the back cover. It is all the way in the back of the thing.
The
they were
gaming
like,
media
nah.
was out for the GameCube, man. It was out for the GameCube. It was written off, even though it was amazing. It was written off. I'm telling you.
Let me tell you this though. You know what the center?
I think it was more of a comparative thing though.
Center
between the vast library of the PlayStation 2 and how so many things.
Yes,
weren't
it was a lot of
coming out.
PS. A lot of Xbox too, though. A lot of Xbox.
Time out. The media spoke way more glowingly about the Xbox at that time, from what I remember.
Because it had an online thing, which neither of those systems did.
Well, PS2 did.
And it had Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, but PS2's online, you had to buy the broadband adapter.
And you know what I realized? I was going through this. The Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance had like a 6-month timed exclusivity window on the original Xbox. And part of the advertisement is, we heard you. You can play as Snake now. Yep. That's literally the blurb next to the game in this magazine. I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, it was rough for the GameCube then. It wasn't great. Wasn't great. But the broadband adapter was $40 in it in the magazine. So
for the game,
Wavebird was like $35.
Yeah, it was.
Some of the best memories I had was booting up that old ghetto like broadband adapter and playing Phantasy Star. That was mind blowing back then, man. It was crazy.
Let me go to our last topic for tonight before we go through some of the final super chats and Streamlabs. And how many Discord questions we got left, Evan?
3.
Okay, cool. Let me go over to the Nintendo acquisition. I saw Sean's headline pop up while I was, at the hospital hanging out. It's like massive, or no, would you say big?
Huge
Nintendo
Switch
acquisition.
Developer.
They said SRD, and I said, wait a minute. I thought Nintendo owned that.
It's all in the wording. The acquisition wasn't the big part. It was a big Switch game studio. And looking at the games that SRD made, they're obviously very large Nintendo Switch games. I'm sorry, their reading comprehension studio. Is shit in this country, and it's shit in this country, and I am out to make it better.
Wait, what did you use? Which word did you use? You used huge?
I don't know. Huge.
So I can just look at the synonym list and it's large.
Yeah.
Cool. You just explained it for me, so I'm good. I'm on board. If anyone complains, I'll just send them over to you. They did acquire SRD. Now SRD apparently already resided in Nintendo's headquarters or their offices anyway. Yep. So I guess they just walked down the hall and they were like, yo, we're buying you guys. And they were like, hold on, I thought you already owned us.
Yeah, sure,
we're in your office right now, but what?
Essentially,
right.
Yeah, they were just a sister programming company, and it's basically the higher ups are just ready to retire. So they said, let's get a bag.
140 as they should 140 employees. And they've been operating with Nintendo, working on their software for 40 years, running support for a bunch of games, Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing. I'm very familiar with a lot of these titles. Game Builder Garage was recent, which that was a pretty good tool set. Ring Fit Adventure, which is very successful, and 1-2 Switch. And this is closing April 1st, pending approval. I don't think there's going to be any issue with approval on that. So Nintendo technically joining acquisition season, just not very exciting. It's
it is part of acquisition season though, because this company probably never would have considered even trying to get Nintendo to buy them if they weren't looking at the market right now and be like, we could probably get a pretty good price, so let's just go for it.
Yep. And I guess once they approach that, Nintendo's like, wait a minute, we can't lose these people, so let's just go ahead and close this. What was the price on this?
$3. An Animal Crossing T-shirt. Nobody would have bought them, bro. Nobody even know who they were.
I was gonna say I couldn't have. I don't think it was
in
much.
The Nintendo headquarters. Someone told me their offices are right in Nintendo.
Yeah, they're right in the same building.
That's why I said they walked down the hallway.
They've had a long-term relationship and partnership with each other that was basically forged before the whole buyout mentality. So it's like, you're important to us. We're gonna give you all of these facilities to work with us. You're basically the same company, but you guys do have some independence. And now it's just the high ups want to leave. They're ready to retire. So here, Nintendo, you can just acquire us.
Do that.
We'll retire. We'll take the money and we'll say bye.
So Nintendo's willing to make the move if they have to. Let's get real for a second here. Max, you played Babylon's Fall.
Yes. My God, I played about 5 hours of it.
The demo is out now, by the way. Anyone can go play it. Go ahead, guys. No one stop me. Go ahead.
Make me.
Go ahead.
It's the first 8 mission. It is got to be the weirdest. It's the weirdest story. Everything about it is weird.
I'm gonna download it right now.
You're playing as a slave who's taken to this island that basically has a big tower on it, and all the slaves basically this thing attached to their back. 90% die, but if you live, you get superpowers. And
that's
so
the plot of every porn game on Steam, by the way. What you just described. So.
Yeah. Well, also like porn games, you have big tentacles that are coming out of your back that actually use 4 separate weapons. So all of your buttons are different weapons. It's basically square, triangle, and then L2, R2 are your different weapons. It's terrible. It's very terrible. It has 2 separate battle passes in it. It constantly, there's a big lady in town. Every time you finish a mission, you appear in town and there's this lady and she's like, hey, would you like to buy some premium currency? So they just constantly ask you to buy coins on the PlayStation Store. I'm going to pay for it and do the early access, which comes out on the 27th. The game launches in March. I'm going to do a big review. And I'll be honest, I think the review is going to be called Don't Buy Babylon's Fall, because it is terrible.
That's weird. How did Elden Ring just open up?
Oh no!
I'm down with the demo.
I found the price Nintendo bought this company for.
Oh, how much was it? Tell me it was less than $1 million.
I want some people to
less than $1 million. Less than $1 million.
$50.
Half a million.
Less than $1 million.
They bought them for $443,000.
There you go. Huge.
It's such a minimal.
baby.
It's not even going to have a meaningful impact on Nintendo's financials.
They probably just rolled it with cash.
Needs that much money, yeah.
Well, I feel like they probably paid just the couple people retiring. They probably just paid their exit bonus. And that's it.
So I mean, Nintendo didn't even know this money came out of their account.
Right? All right, so let's be real for a minute here. What do we think Babylon's Fall is going to score when this thing drops? This thing's out.
Low 60s.
All of you can suck my nuts.
Low 60s.
The video was titled Nintendo buys huge Switch developer. Are they a huge Switch developer? Yeah, they did fucking Animal Crossing, which is one of the highest selling games of all time. It is not my fault if people do not have proper reading comprehension in 2022.
Nah, fam. RGT, I'm with you. I rock with you most of the time, but nah, fam.
Are they a big Switch developer?
Wait, wait, hold on. What word did you use to describe it?
And then a huge.
Okay,
are they not a huge?
Big.
I'm sorry. Is Animal Crossing not one of the biggest selling games of all time?
Nope. I'm gonna agree with you because the YouTube title makes sense for me.
Wait, did the headline work, RGT? Did it get you the views?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then what the hell? What does it matter?
I don't give a fuck.
It just means exactly. I can use huge, right? So I can use big or large.
I would use big, large.
Okay.
Massive.
Big, large.
Massive.
Big,
depends if the characters are there. If I got 100, I gotta cut it down. Yeah. Okay. Babylon's Falls demo. No one downloaded other than Max, basically meaning none of us cared to spend. It's less than 10 gigabytes.
Yeah.
None of us decided to download this thing. I think this is going to be an unfortunate release for Platinum.
I think it's going to be a 3 or a 4. So there isn't even animation in the cutscenes. It actually has. They portray it as there's paintings. It'll basically zoom in a painting. It'll be your character, and then someone else will be standing next to it like, we got to get out of this prison. And then they'll have their hands like that. It's like, you're right. And then the next boss shows up. There's like,
oh man,
there's literally no animation.
Is this is Square Enix's game, right?
And Square Enix, Platinum, yes.
And Platinum developed it. So it sounds like to me that Square gave them $1 million and said, make what you can.
They gave them the Balan Wonderworld treatment, the Left Alive and all that. Yeah,
So it's almost like they were set up to fail in so many ways. It may be unfair to shit on Platinum for this. They may really just had no budget to work with.
Just a bad deal. Yeah.
Well, it also sort of feels like it's supposed to be a cell phone game. Like there's a weird floatiness. All the controls are really stiff, but when you start to lock onto a target, it almost sucks you to them. You can even just choose to float in the air for almost 15 seconds to like wait to tap a target. It really feels like it was maybe at some point a cell phone game and they made it a console game.
Well, hold on. When did we find out? No. We found out about this game a long time ago.
It was revealed in 2018. I looked it up because even I was shocked.
So this has been in development for a bit. Yeah. This might be a 4-year development.
Cool. It was everything was great until they said live service, and I was like, oh,
I think that was like a warning of like things have changed internally, and we have to like meet certain projections, and the only way we'll ever be able to agree to give them have them give us more money is if we say, okay, it'll make more money after people buy it with microtransactions and stuff.
So you think it was a normal
move?
You think it was a normal game before? You think that they changed it during?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
I kind of think so
that's
too.
accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
Feels like it. It definitely morphed at some point.
Damn, that sucks because I was excited because like they showed 2 trailers. The first trailer I didn't care because it wasn't anything, but the second trailer they didn't reveal that it was a live service game at that second trailer for the game. So it was like, okay, cool. It's gonna be a platinum game. It's gonna play. It'll be, you know, at its worst, it'll probably be like a little bit worse than I don't know, Nier or something like that, somewhere between Astral Chain and Nier. So, man, that sucks, man.
So
that
they
really
have,
sucks.
but then their interviews recently have not sounded independent, I guess. They don't, all of a sudden they're like, you know, the Activision deal with Microsoft, that don't look too bad. They're letting them do what they want. And,
Hey,
yeah,
Microsoft,
we would
we'll
hear
do
some of those
Scalebound.
deals.
We'll do Scalebound.
We'll do
Let us
Scalebound. Let's do it,
Yeah.
Phil. That's what they're saying, right? And it's like, what is Platinum doing right now? What is this?
Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, that sounds desperate to be doing that in that interview, because you would just reach out to them with a line of communication privately if you want to do it.
Is that
trying to drum up?
Is that
support
actually
in the public?
Is that actually what he said, or was it lost in translation somewhere?
People seem to basically be like, yeah, they've mentioned it 3 times in interviews that they would like to do Scalebound. And before that, they admitted that it was their fault that it got messed up and it wasn't Microsoft. So
It's the language barrier is a big
yeah. But like it didn't, a lot of people looked at it, Microsoft was the big problem. And it's like, it seemed like it was just both sides kind of not being able to figure it out.
But it also was a different Microsoft back then.
Yes.
Because, you know, they were very much in the process of just tearing down studios and stuff like that.
Yep. So I don't know. Platinum, man. Platinum's looking a little sketchy right now. I actually wonder what kind of condition they're in right now with the way they're talking.
Well, they've been hiring, so they've been hiring, and they've got. I think they want to hire up to 500 people. They've got the huge Tencent investment.
Yeah,
so
I think they're all in on that. Like basically, it has to be a live service.
Yeah,
because it has to be something they can support. They want their Destiny basically, and it's like
they want that, but they also see like I think that with Platinum, they also see like that money that you get for let's say a Nier, it dries up pretty quickly.
Yep.
Like the publisher gets everything. Yeah, you get that, but there was Hideki Kamiya talked in an interview saying, hey, like Nier saved us. I'm like, bro, you guys got saved by a game that sold like 4 million or something like that. You know, like he said, hey, Nier kind of saved us because the money that they make from making Bayonetta, that's not as much. That sells way less than Nier. You know, they don't make a ton from these really big games that take years to make. So I think that's the reason why. Like their games are so incredible, but people don't buy them like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, let's get real for a second. Do we think Platinum? Do we think they get bought in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, they want to be bought.
Yep. If they're bought, it's going to be by a Chinese company.
I think I think Tencent.
Interesting.
I think Tencent's going to.
I think Tencent, NetEase, one of them come in.
You don't think there's any future where Microsoft comes in?
I thought PlayStation or I thought Square Enix would eat them or something. I don't know. It seems like they want to work on multiple platforms. So if they get bought by NetEase or something like that, that also sort of makes sense.
The only reason why I say not like one of them, because those companies have been moving away from the Japanese type of games that can do that. Like there's no value in them unless they can prove that they can make a Destiny. And if they prove that they can make that and it gets huge, then maybe Sony or Microsoft suits them. But Microsoft's been buying a lot of the Western companies that know that they can make the type of games that they can sell. Like people don't even want to download Octopath Travel or Dragon Quest.
Yeah, but they have Tango Gameworks now.
Yeah, but that's because they got that with Bethesda. You know what I'm saying?
They still have that. They still have that studio now that's going to make those kind of games.
If Tango was by itself, there's no way in hell Microsoft buys it.
Yeah, no,
if it was just Tango. Let's go.
But I mentioned Platinum makes action games like that. If they want a Japanese developer, that is probably the one that would work for them the best. Out of like, they're not going to make Octopath Traveler. They're going to make like a Vanquish or something like that.
Yeah, nobody bought Vanquish on the Xbox.
No, but they don't. They just need people to play it. They don't need people to buy it.
People don't even want to. Dude, Nier was on Xbox. Nobody even played it. Nobody even played Nier on Xbox.
No, but if they had they'd make a new IP or something with them, and they'd be like, hey, and then later they'd be like, oh look, 5 million people downloaded on Game Pass. High five. Let's do the next one.
See, do you feel aside from like Bayonetta, do you feel Platinum still has the hype that they had several years ago?
No.
I don't think they have the hype, but I still feel like they have the talent. Like something about it feels like they're stretched so thin, which Sean said in a video once, like last year, and I'm still in this quote from him, but he said it seems like a great team that's stretched super, super far. And that's the way they feel. Like when I'm playing Babylon's Fall, it doesn't feel like somebody screwed up. It feels like there's just like 6 dudes in the basement with no light bulb trying to figure out how to make that game.
They kind of have to though, like, right? They got to go from contract to contract to contract and just hope that it's there. I mean, that's really when I first saw them talk about Scalebound, I was like, they're just trying to get a job. But then they're like, that acquisition stuff, that's not bad. And it's like, wait, hold on. Just like a year ago, they were like, nah, we're good. We're gonna be independent. We like it. Now they're like, it looks pretty good over there at Microsoft.
The big thing, like, if you get acquired right now, it is at a premium. Even if you are on a string of like, so-so games, talent is at such a premium that you could sell for more right now than you'll probably ever have a chance to sell for.
I kind of feel like they're in talk. I kind of feel like they're already like talking about it. I don't know. I think this is going to be one of those things where we wake up in the morning, we're like, oh, this person, they bought Platinum.
I think by the end of this year, I think they're probably acquired.
That's why I said you never know. I mean, Microsoft could swoop in. I know Jeff Keighley was talking about how there's going to be more, that there's rumors of, or certain people know that there's going to be more acquisitions. So yeah, Platinum could be it. Could be one of them.
Those are bigger than Platinum. The things I've heard, I've not heard names. So when I'm teasing this, it's not me saying that I know something. I'll say that I haven't heard names, but the people that know, they won't tell me because they're worried about the SEC, and they won't tell me.
That's some serious business.
So it's so huge. That's what they're.
Why are you worried about? Why are you worried about Florida and LSU? What are you talking about, bro?
I mean, there are big companies out there who they are gauging interest into potential buys and sells. But you're never going to hear both parties because, as Jeff mentioned, you have the SEC, you have legal proceedings. That would just be a disaster.
That Ubisoft purchase is going to be crazy. Huh?
That will probably be one you see.
That'll probably be one, yeah.
What's the share price?
Interest.
I don't know. What's the share price?
When somebody acquires Ubisoft, like as Microsoft or Sony, they should jump off of the tower. Like we acquire, like, and then like land into something. The first thing, like, you pop them, dude. They should do that.
Yes. It's gonna jump into a money pile.
Yeah, it's like jump in.
That's kind of why I think Platinum is. It could be like that Bungie acquisition, not like that size in terms of money, but just like it's just like, oh, it happened. Maybe Insomniac. It's like, oh, it happened. And it's kind of it. Then everyone just kind of moves along. So I don't think it's gonna be a massive grand thing if it takes place, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, Bayonetta 3 ends up being good.
$440,000.
I know. That's damn. I'll be honest. If Bayonetta 3 comes out and it's not good,
hold on. You think Furukawa pulled up with his wallet was like, all right, it was.
He might have.
It was like, all right, here,
salary for a couple of employees.
Yeah, he's like, you want to retire? How much do I have to just absorb you? $400,000 here.
Just walks down the hallway with one of those boxes.
His $400,000, I'll pay for lunch.
Over.
Yeah, I was gonna say $445. Keep the change. There you go.
Probably just. $500,000. Keep the change.
He probably didn't even do that. He probably just sold a bored ape to the guy and said, "Here you go."
Yeah, I'll give you my NFTs for it.
Take an ape.
I mean, that's my concern is that their Bayonetta 3 comes out and it's not good, and then it's like, I mean, that's what we figure Platinum is good for. That's what we figure Platinum's good for. Like they're going to deliver a good Bayonetta. But if 3 comes out and there's some kind of technical issue, or it's just not good, or it's broken, or something crazy.
If that game were struggling in a directional point, Nintendo would have stepped in and been like, "This isn't working. We're either canning this, or you guys are starting over."
But what if it comes out that Platinum needed serious help or something to get it done? Like from Nintendo.
Nintendo would give them the help. I feel like their problem is when they're underwater with Square Enix. Square Enix says buy us.
Oh no, they're not going to do anything. Yeah, that's like good luck.
They needed help with Astral Chain. That was not an easy game to make either, with direction, with certain different things. So I mean, I would guess that they're helping them. But yeah, these type of games, like, they're massive. But I don't see Bayonetta being bad in any type of way.
Bayonetta 3, like, is this going to be like a Bayonetta 1 and 2? Or do we think there's some massive difference to it? Like, where it's like, okay, this is why it took, I mean, potentially 5 years to get done.
Based on the trailer, didn't
I mean, we're talking about like a Breath of the Wild development cycle on this thing.
I don't think that's the case. I think it was more of just trying to put things together because they were going through a number of changes. and like they ripped some of the new mechanics, just getting it to work too. Like the demon slave stuff. I mean, but usually they have like one or two demons at any time, but you can't really control them, or at certain times like where you do, but it's very limited. This one, like you have 3 separate ones that you can alternate between at any time. So I'm guessing on the tech side, that's something that's hard to do. That's what I'm just, like I said, guessing.
The game also lost its director during development.
Yeah, that's true too. I kind of think Sean was onto something with Platinum when they hit that Kickstarter. I think that was a sign there. So that's all I'll say. We'll see how the Platinum.
They've always been a mismanaged company.
But like now it's like becoming to the point where a lot of people are seeing it. And it's like, they
just put out their self-published shmup. Cresta at $40.
Dude. That game should have been
$40.
It's $40 digitally.
That game should have been a slam dunk.
It should have been. But
the game should have been
pixel
$10.
art is a mess. Everything went wrong with this game. Pricing, graphics.
And I know for a fact that they gave out some decent bags for
do you now?
Spots.
Do you?
I didn't get one.
How much?
I went high on them because it's Platinum, and I'm like, fuck
frame
off.
rate and gameplay, Soul Cresta.
But I know someone who did do a thing with it, and the pay was pretty good.
Oh, that's a shame.
The gameplay is still pretty good. It's just it should be better.
Yeah.
And $40
it's an old shmup.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
$40 for a digital.
That's kind of sad. Yeah.
You can get it from LRG for like 54.
Truxton on the iArcade, the arcade version for $10. It just dropped. There, Truxton the game.
No.
Let me go to Evan. Do you have Evan? You got Discord questions over there? We'll finish up with those.
Yeah, we still got 3.
And then the super chats. Good.
We've seen a bunch of remakes for Battle for Bikini Bottom, Metroid Samus Returns, and such that have led to new games in the series. Is this something that's going to be standard for the future for classic franchises to be made as a remake that then leads into the potential of a new game if it sells well?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great way to do it, just to see if there's any interest, and then like, oh, it sold well enough. Let's try a new one. Sure.
Yep. Considering how
let's do Soul Reaver. Good.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Considering how successful it has been and how much work went into perfecting it, how long do you think Nintendo will continue to use the Breath of the Wild graphics engine?
Oh, I mean, I don't think I'm going to expect a Ring Fit Adventure game to come out using it, but I mean, it's a good engine. Obviously, it works well. So,
they'll continue to tinker with it and refine it.
Yeah, they'll update and refine it. Yeah,
keep using it. Absolutely.
If people move on from early access games, regardless of whether or not they have the early access label, why do indie games like Hades or Baldur's Gate embrace the label while AAA games like Cyberpunk avoid it?
I think part of that comes down to funding. I've talked to some developers. I'm sure some of us have done that here and there, but a lot of times it's just straight up, if you have a game and you're like 40% done and you know it's really good, but you're just running out of money, and your choices are like, all right, I got to seek a publisher who's going to want to say, or a developer that may force me to change stuff that I like or something, like, or I can crowdfund it. Some people just choose to crowdfund it. Like I think Super Giants talked about, like sometimes it's better to just, if you know you have gold, it's easier to just go the early access route.
Yeah, but if you're a big publisher also, then you don't want to do that because there's because you're expected to charge less. You're expected to be more communicative, and you like having your silence. Also, it's a
also. Let's be real. Let's be real. If you're like EA. And you were like, let's go kickstart this game. If I'm a shareholder, I'm be like, why are you kickstarting a game right now? What's going on over there?
And you know, early access has a little bit different of a sense about it than kickstarting. But even still, it's like a big company doing early access. There's some hurdles there that they have to overcome.
Yeah. Is that it, Evan?
Yep, we're good.
Matthew says, we're in the middle of a grassy open world game period. Give me a futuristic Fifth Element open world with flying cars already.
Hell yeah.
Chaos they tried. It was called Cyberpunk.
That's going to be a great game in like 2026. Chaos says, let's go Detroit Red Wings. Jake says...
Sorry. I was encouraging the chat. Sorry about that.
Are the Bruins playing?
I don't think so. Not
Are they
I think
good
they
anymore?
lost yesterday. No.
All right, enough sports talk. Move it along.
Jake says Kirby taking Game of the Year. You know, I'm really curious about Kirby. I'm very hopeful. I think it's gonna be good.
It'll be family game of the year.
Gonna be awesome.
I've got some coverage coming up from Kirby soon. Some early coverage, so look out for that, guys. On the channel.
Hashtag free game.
I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good.
Like Derek, you played it, OJ?
You'll find out.
Hashtag free game.
Jeez.
Derek says, question for Sean. Are you liking Elden Ring now? Joined it just as you talked about it. I'm in the same boat as your.
No, we already did that.
Yeah,
one.
that one was already done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I see it here. Ace says, any chance they roll out Smash DLC fighters on Nintendo Switch Online?
No.
Nope.
Jarrett says, Forza Horizon 5 was my 2021 game of the year because of its accessibility. Do you think accessibility matters in games, and should that factor into choosing a game of the year?
Yes.
Yes.
For you, if that's what matters, then that's what matters.
Yeah.
To an
Also,
extent.
They have a very good category now with accessibility. And I think that's a good way to kind of even separate it from it just being rolled into Game of the Year, because it's pretty impressive what some of these developers are able to come up with. Like Forza Horizon having kind of the momentum slow, that was a really cool thing.
Last of Us Part 2 accessibility.
But it had
Or Celeste
pinatas.
having all the things and all the jumps you can add and stuff. So,
you got like blind people that can beat like Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. Back says, could an OLED Steam Deck happen?
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, right.
I think it will eventually. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Jarrah says, people said Breath of the Wild was the Dark Souls of Zelda. From Software's out to make the Breath of the Wild of Dark Souls.
Not bad.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good. I like that.
Reese says, Horizon doesn't need a break. First one sold 20 million. Critical reception is nice, but we all know what Sony really cares about.
What?
The Game of the Year trophy.
Yeah, 20 million at $3.50. It's
Overly convoluted stories into everything and then saying it's narrative based. You know, like give me God of War with the fucking action and fucking women. And
well, hold on. Did you play Returnal, Sean?
No.
Oh, I did. I love Returnal.
The game's
that's an
pure
action game.
Yeah, but
there's no talking at all.
But there's no threesomes. You heard the man.
Exactly.
There's no cutscenes, but it still has one of the best stories ever.
Yeah, but there's no threesomes in the new God of War either.
That's why the old ones are better.
It'd be funny if he was like, "Let me tell you a story, boy. There were these two absolutely awesome hoes in front of me."
Miss Click's coming to your place, man. He's about to choke you out with that comment, dude.
Ticho says, this might sound silly, but I have to ask, can you take screenshots 1080p or 4K on the Steam Deck despite it being an 800p resolution screen?
Well, so it depends on how you want to do it. Like if you're going to just take a screenshot on the system using the Steam button and R1, which is how that works. If you're just doing it natively on there, it's going to be 800p because I mean that's just the resolution it's rendering in. But if you connect it to an external thing, you could dock this just like a Switch. I was using the Genki Covert thing before it broke on me. I connected that up, and if you output it to like a 1440p screen, you could take screenshots of 1440p. You can render stuff. It'll still probably render the game at 800p in many cases, but you can adjust that. One trick, if you are going to connect this to the TV, if the game has an option to do 720p, do that and then do the integer scaling that's built into the system. That worked really good to get really good performance and stuff and have really good looking images.
Diamond says, finished Tales of Arise today. Really good. Wish we had more than a JPEG ending. I love these characters so much, but it's amazing. Take it easy, Spawn. Baldy says, is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 supported on the Steam Deck?
That's a good question. I'll see what that runs. So that probably be. I mean, but the CPU on this is pretty good, and I think I'll give it a test. I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. D'Angelo says, Valve says they have no problem with Game Pass on Steam Deck. How long do you think before Microsoft gets it on the platform?
It's weird because it's Linux, right? They're the Windows company. Maybe. Huh.
George says, for how cool the Steam Deck is, I'm happy I bought the Odin because of what it can emulate and its portability.
Still thinking about getting the Odin, even though I have the Steam Deck. So
isn't that shit like 1,200 bones?
No, that's the Aya Neo that you're thinking of. That is $1,200, and it's less powerful than a Steam Deck. Like those are in a weird spot. The Aya Neo or Odin, I'm sorry, is like 300, 250, something like that, and it plays like GameCube and Dreamcast really well.
Okay, that's okay.
King says, for the cast, what game have you played and thought that you wouldn't like, but ended up enjoying and becoming a fan of the series?
Elden Ring.
I actually, Dark Souls. I started playing Dark Souls because of the cast. When Dark Souls 3 was about to come out, I was like, okay, well, someone needs to talk about this. So I purposely played through a bunch of the series and loved them and figured them out. And now I'm a huge From Software fan. And initially I was like, what the hell is this? So
I'm just gonna say like Final Fantasy Tactics back in the day, because it looked so weird when it first showed up. And I'm like, you have to take turns and walk around. That's strange. And then I play. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'll check out all the other strategy games.
Yeah.
And then, we got Final Fantasy Tactics 2 on the PlayStation 2, and it was amazing. And then Final Fantasy Tactics 3, and then no, I mean, they had some. That A2, that was good. Tactics Advance was very good. But like, I started with Tactics on the PS1, and I'm like, wow, this is actually better than I thought, even though you're moving around pieces. And then it's kind of spiraled from there. And hey, Triangle Strategy coming up.
Triangle Strategy coming out next week, and that game is
Mario
The Last of Us. I didn't think that I would like The Last of Us
Brothers
at all.
Okay, yeah.
Then we got Tactics remake coming soon.
Oh wait. Oh, that's in the NVIDIA league.
yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm ready, baby.
Truly Epic says best first Souls game, Demon Souls or Elden Ring? I'm just gonna say Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Go back to Demon Soul, or the remake. Yeah, that's fun.
I was gonna say, if you want easiest, I think easiest of all the Souls is either Bloodborne or I definitely still think Dark Souls 3 is the most accessible.
This is Death Proof says, how is RGT eating so much crap and not flatlined?
I don't know.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Phil says, I understand OJ's take on why he doesn't want to support digital, but I'd say Xbox is the only platform that I have any confidence buying digital on.
Yeah, you can be confident buying digital on there, but remember, this is the company that made a $300 Xbox Series S and didn't put a disc drive in there to force you to do it when they could have done it. So there's obviously a goal. All companies want you to move to digital. It's not just Xbox. Every company, Nintendo, Mike, they all want you to move to digital because they make more money and they can control things. So
control things. Yeah.
Phil
says, having kids, I just can't worry about physical.
Same. I have kids. That doesn't matter, but okay.
Goddamn kids! I tell you what.
I'm not good at keeping my kids away from destroying things. You can listen to a podcast where half the time they're destroying something in the background.
Oh gosh. Foxy says, OJ, thoughts on Smash not being at Evo?
Yeah, I actually had a huge rant on it on my channel or on the Spawncast pre-show. I don't think people are just jumping to conclusions. I don't want to take too much time with this because it's complicated. But essentially, Sony owns Evo, and Sony's been known to try to make other people look bad or throw people under the bus when there's more to it. They have a long history of this, and I don't have time to go over it all. But yeah, there's probably more to it. But yeah, Sony owns Evo. Smash Bros. Is not going to be there. They have their own circuit, so there you go.
Tijo says, which Street Fighter 4 announcer were you talking about, OJ?
What?
They asked about They asked about the announcer for Street Fighter that you mentioned.
Street Fighter 4 had a really cool announcer, like when he talks during the match. Street Fighter 5 doesn't. And Street Fighter 6, you can hear the announcer in the trailer. He goes, Street Fighter 6, kind of says it like that. So it's like, it's kind of back to how it was in Street Fighter 4.
Cobra says, I'm hyped for the new Capcom fighting collection. However, I feel that it's missing Rival Schools. Missed opportunity. It was flashy, but a technical fighter. Very underrated.
Rival Schools was a 3D or the 2.5D game, though.
Right. That wasn't, they were doing all CPS 2, right? Is that what that is?
Yep, the CPS 2.
Rob says, congrats on the little one, John.
Thank you.
Arceus says, Arceus, Sifu, Horizon Forbidden West, Elden Ring, and GT7. Great time for games. Any guesses as to the next big studio's publisher to get acquired? Platinum Games.
Platinum.
Ubisoft.
Or Ubisoft. Ubisoft's going too. Tijo says, I just seriously hope Street Fighter 6 isn't turn out to be another unfinished game full of microtransactions like 5 was. Complete game at launch, please. That's the hope.
It could be all right.
Omni says, can't wait to play Street Fighter 6 Cloud Edition on Switch. The real challenge is fighting the input lag.
Hell no.
Mark says, mundane Nintendo SRD's theory. Anyone at the company since 1979 is at a retirement age, and Nintendo wants to be able to provide a good pension.
Hey, that's the world for you.
Reply says, quick question, how do you feel about cloud versions of games on the Switch?
They can suck a dick. I think we all know that.
Kingdom Hearts games are an abomination. It is an abomination that Kingdom Hearts is.
It is.
Not Kingdom Hearts 3, I guess, but the rest of that is just
for $80
Enix,
or whatever.
Square Enix.
Yeah, for $80. Yeah, for 80. That's atrocious.
Sucks, man. They don't know what they're doing.
Yum says, I sold my complete in box regular clean N64 with expansion plus second controller for $150. Wow, really?
What?
That's pretty good deal for somebody got you on that. I don't have much memories for it. I know you'll hate me. Worth it for $150. I mean, yeah, I'd buy that for $150.
Secure the bag.
Reese says Insomniac should have waited for acquisition season. Probably. Christian says, any book recommendations on video game lore or development?
It's a complete Sega 32X guide available on Amazon. Look at this.
The Diablo books by Richard A. Knack are fantastic. They're actually super good. Introduce extra characters. Actually, all the Blizzard books, the old World of Warcraft books are good. The Last of Us comics, the Silent Hill comics are super top notch. Each issue of the Silent Hill comics actually use different art styles, or you can get Sean's piece of toilet paper.
But it has my book has MVG in it.
Oh,
that hurts its quality.
Whoa.
I'm gonna get kicked off. I'm gonna get kicked off. I apologize.
That's mean. Say sorry to MVG now.
I'm sorry, MVG, but not John.
If anything, the book stained
I'm not going to
MVG.
sign your Quake disc now.
Oh no! Deserve.
No, you should sign it. It'll just bring down its value.
No, you're just gonna write eat shit on the cover of my game.
Thank you, douchebag.
There's a few more things to go over here, but let me go around as we do these to finish up. Let me go to Jeff Grubb, our guest tonight. Make sure you check him out. I have his link down below in the description. Jeff, we'll let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah. If, I'm on Twitter a bunch, but if you want to like hang out, discord.gg/GameS. We got a great community over there. Come hang out with us. We do community game nights and stuff like that all the time. And there's I think I'm doing a Q&A tomorrow and stuff in one of those stages or whatever. Come hang out. Yeah.
It's from Mixing saying, hey, John, congratulations on the baby. Happy for you. Thank you, Mixing. Reese says, Platinum calling up Yokotaro every day. He's like, nah, man, I'm just going to make a card game. Nathan says, is there anything on Metal Gear Solid Remake? It's been a while since we heard anything on it.
Hanging out with Silent Hill.
Yep.
It's
Silent Hill is coming.
Oh, gosh.
He's right. He's right.
One day, eventually.
Yep.
I like
Rob and I will be awaiting all of your apologies.
I will be making. I will be making a Silent Hill is coming montage.
I hope Silent Hill.
That's like saying, Street Fighter 6. I mean, eventually there probably will be a Silent Hill
from previous Spawncast going all the way back to 2017.
I hope Silent Hill shows up and it's for the PlayStation VR. That'd be great. Just a twist on it. Adam says, I like Nate's opening music for his videos. Hey, wait, you're the VR guy of the podcast now.
I know.
You should have been excited. You should have been like, I hope all of them are there. That's usually
It'd be something, yeah.
Adam says, I like Nate's opening music for his videos. Shout out to all of you and dope content you create. I watch all you guys. PS, still haven't beat Returnal.
It is a good opening jingle.
Sean, you want to tell everyone where you can find you?
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America.
What does that mean? That counts as his outro.
Sean's his links down below in the description. Go to RGT85, bug him there. Yum says, can I upgrade base model Steam Deck internal storage? I believe you can, but they don't recommend it. It's just it's a bit more of a process.
They overstated that. That was them just being like super illegal about it. There is there's just straight up an M2 slot in there, and as long as you have the right form factor, you can just put it in there and get going. You'll have to get a flash of Steam OS to put on there because you'll want it on the SSD at that point. But yes, you can.
Huh. Bat says, just want to say MVG is cool and I love Excellent Kai. Console says, Arise of Ben West had way too many cutscenes. Even made a song about it on my channel. Kind of funny.
It did have a lot of cutscenes.
MVG, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Modern Vintage G, on YouTube Modern Vintage Gamer. I did tweet today that I wasn't going to make a video because I've been playing Elden Ring, but I actually do have a video coming up on Monday, so check that out. And next week is a big week. We got Gran Turismo, we've got Triangle Strategy. Turismo. Nate and I will probably have an episode out next week. Check out the channel.
I'm actually excited for Gran Turismo. I think it's gonna be fun.
I've heard good things about Gran Turismo so far.
Good.
Very good thing.
Oh, okay, even better. Cool. All right. T-Joe says, OJ, what I meant was, there are two announcers, Street Fighter 4, one for Vanilla and one for Super Street Fighter 4 Onward. Wasn't sure which one you meant.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the same announcer. So,
OJ, where can everyone find you?
Find me right here on YouTube. Got some cool stuff coming up. Some Persona 4 Arena stuff coming up on the channel. Also Kirby, so should get some get you guys ready for that. So I got some interesting stuff on that. Triangle strategy as well. So it's going to be a pretty big week on the channel. So thank you guys for subbing and liking and all that stuff. And also Spawncast pre-show. If you guys ever want to come through, Player Essence on there, check out the pre-show beforehand. And thanks for having me on, John. I appreciate that. So yeah, subscribe, Player Essence. Cool.
There's a few over in Streamlabs. Big shout out to Shamsa saying congratulations, dude. Just a little something to support you and the baby. Big shout out to Shamsa.
Shout out Shamsa.
Liam says, why doesn't Nintendo do more with Mother? They marketed it on Wii U like crazy, and again with the 3DS and again with the SNES Classic. It got its own direct segment, and they made a massive deal about Lucas being DLC in Smash 4 while the marketing.
Big problem with Danzig because he owns the trademark to Mother.
Mother.
I do wonder how many
game on Switch.
I do wonder how many people would actually buy, like, if Mother 3 got localized, how that would do sales wise. Dan says, I loved hearing the biggest gaming news on Wednesday was the birth of Spawnway's daughter. Congratulations. Thank you, Dan. Mr. Studmuffin says, I'm all for accessibility options in gaming, but there are also too many people when it comes to Dark Souls or Elden Ring that simply don't like it. Anything that's not easy for them, they don't even try to improve because it requires effort respectfully.
Yeah, it's not really the conversation that's happening. People overblow that.
Oh, and then Dark Souls was this impossible game when I finally played it. I realized it was an RPG, like I think Jeff was saying there. And then Mr. Studmuff says, RGT get good and praise the sun.
Never.
T-Max says, I've played Dying Light 2 a lot because I'm a big fan of the first. Bugs and all aside, why is there no manual save? It makes no sense. Yeah, it's annoying. I'm like, I think I'm saved, but let me go sleep and hope it actually saved it. And Cosmic says, hi, everybody. Love the show. And I have a question for everyone. Who is your favorite Capcom fighting game? Oh, what's your favorite Capcom fighting game? If you have one, mine is Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Let me go to Max on this. You can also do your outro. What's your favorite?
Obviously, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Capcom vs. SNK 2. And I am Dreamcast guy. So just youtube.com/Dreamcast guy. Next week is going to be the busiest week of my life. I've actually got some videos already prepared, but it's going to be Shadow Warrior 3 review. Somehow I'm going to talk about Triangle Strategy. I'm going to talk about Babylon's Fall and why you should not buy it. And then also Gran Turismo 3.
I'll let you handle that one, Max.
Yeah, I'm laying on that grenade.
And Nate, where can everyone find you?
Find me on YouTube at Nate the Hate or on Twitter at Nate the Hate, followed by the number 2. As MVG said, we will have a new episode up this coming week, so people can be excited for that.
Good to have Nate back for the podcast. Good to have Nate back. And Evan.
Find me on Twitter, Kimrex Project. If I go live for streaming or if anything's coming up convention-wise or something, I'll usually post it there, so you can check that out.
Okay, thanks everyone tuning in. Apparently next week we're going to have a bunch of games to talk about. So I'm excited for that. We'll see you guys next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Would you like to come back with Rob?